Do 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 do. Are we live yet? All right. Status free for all on a Friday, a summer Friday. Hello, everybody. Jordan Sheridan. Oh, I'm wearing a hat, so the lighting's not good. Oh well. See, when I wear a hat, it covers up the lighting above me, but that's okay. Hopefully, my pink shirt is light enough for you. What's up, early birds? Indeed. We'll wait till more folks trickle in. Colin, if you could send a text, that would be good. Jen's going to be joining in a little bit. She just got to DC. She'll be covering the Medicare for All March in DC tomorrow. Obviously, there's similar marches, Medicare for All marches going on all over the country. I've seen LA, I think Chicago, New York, and a couple other places, but Jen will be at the main one in DC tomorrow. I believe it starts around 11 a.m. Eastern and goes for most of the day. So she'll be there covering it as long as she can. And we could talk about that in a little bit when she joins. Hey, Coup family, indeed. It's been quite the busy week. Quite the busy week for Status Coup. That's for sure. But I'm happy to be here. I don't really have anything planned. I've been working all day. We've been trying to push this story out everywhere. So that's why I just titled it Status Free for All. So we can answer your questions, kind of go with the flow. We could talk about the Flint story. We could talk about Nina Turner's upcoming race. We could talk about constipation, whatever you want to talk about. We could talk about. Super chats are welcome. Obviously, I'll read those first. And we'll definitely talk about some of the behind the scenes of trying to get this story out. Because I got news for you folks. It is really, really something else that as a journalist, you could work your tushy out. As a journalist, you could work your tushy off. You can keep going to places like Flint that no one else covers. You can diligently build sources. You can break story after story after story, each story more corrupt than the last story. And it's almost like there's, how there's like two Americas, tale of two countries, tale of two cities, one for the rich, one for pretty much everybody else. It seems like now there's just two alternative reality journalism industries. The infotainment, sensationalized corporate propaganda, and the actual journalism that exposes corruption, injustice, and all that. And when the actual journalists break things, the alternative journalistic media on that end seem to actually have incentive to bury it, because that's what's going on. Jan and I just broke, to me, and I would gladly argue it with anyone. We just broke probably the biggest government cover-up of the 21st century. If you read the Flint story, I'll put the tweet in the super chat. By the way, we are getting close to 1,700 retweets. We need to keep getting those retweets up. Unfortunately, the media will only cover it, frankly, if I get enough high-profile people to talk about it and rant about it. But also if I get the numbers up on the tweet. So definitely retweet my tweet about it. We're almost at 1,700 retweets, which, trust me, was not easy to get. It was not easy to get. We've been sending this everywhere. And I was happy, I appreciate Tom Hartman had me on yesterday. I appreciate Matt Taibbi and Katie Halper had me on. Jen and I on. I'm not sure when they're posting it, but I recorded that the other day. We're going to be going on with Abby Martin on Monday. I'm going on Rising, the Hills channel on Tuesday. Still hoping to hear back from, some other folks like Breaking Points or other shows to come on and talk about this. Yeah, it's been tough, even to get, frankly, independent media to cover it. And it's really, it's just kind of outrageous. It really is outrageous that, I mean, I literally have an email from the Detroit Free Press this morning, followed up for a second time. I was told by one of the top editors, thanks for sharing. Yeah, I'll let you know if we decide to follow up. Let you know if we decide to follow up on a massive government cover-up an hour down the road that we, the Detroit Free Press, could have broken, because I brought a lot of this story to them in January. Excuse me, no, at the end of last year, like the fall of last year. And they told me they regretted not doing more, but they're going to pass. And now they won't cover undisputed, completely factual evidence of a major, across-the-board cover-up from the governor's office, from the governor, his top advisors, the health department, the environmental department. It's really disgusting is what it is. And this isn't like, Jordan and Jen are ranting because our story is not getting attention. It's not about us. It's about the people of Flint. And honestly, one has to really start wondering. Because I've heard it all. Oh, the media is lazy. Oh, they only care about like sensationalized, clickbaity things. I think it's more than that. I'm beginning to really think that there's this cabal between the government and these corporate outlets. And these corporate outlets, by and large, exist to bury this kind of reporting. Because, by the way, I got news for you. I've built up a lot of sources over the years on Flint and other things. It's not like they did not go or try to approach reporters from the Detroit Free Press, from the Detroit News, from the Flint Journal. It's not like I was the first person they went to. And all of those outlets, maybe initially the reporters expressed interest, but then when they brought it up to their bosses, all of a sudden, not interested anymore. We're going to pass. And we're not talking about we're not talking about a cover-up of like local city hall corruption. We're talking about a cover-up at the highest levels of state government of something that led to people dying and being permanently ill. That's what we're talking about. And by the way, smash the like button. 150 people watching. Need everybody to like, share this live stream, all that good stuff. So I'm not gonna lie, it's very disheartening. It's also disheartening when you see some of the stories that do get passed around and do go kind of viral, that it's not that they're not good stories here and there, but they're not about life or death things. A lot of times it's just about Trump's corruption or more bullshit on Russia. BuzzFeed just had a story about the FBI potentially being involved with January 6th. I thought that was a good story. It gets passed around like a doobie. It's trending, all these things. But shouldn't a story on one of the biggest government cover-ups on a major environmental calamity, probably the biggest environmental calamity of this century? Yeah, we'll take a look. Get back to you. That's why I've always told my audience that I really want you guys to get it. Because, it's great. People marching for Medicare for all, people protesting outside Pelosi's office and outside Mitch McConnell's office, and the Sunrise Movement marches and all these things. I'm not saying not to do those things. But if people don't start seriously protesting the media, I'm talking in the hundreds, outside your local media outlets. If you can get enough people, outside national media outlets, with specific complaints and specific demands, including if you don't stop this propaganda, we're going for your advertisers. The status quo will continue. The status quo will continue. I'm not talking about anything violent, civil disobedience, peace. But this is why this corrupt country is emboldened and enabled to be corrupt, to grow more corrupt, for the wealth to keep hoarding upwards, for the whole country to basically be attempts are being made all over the country to privatize pretty much everything. They'll privatize your children soon. Nope, still nothing from Michael Moore. I appreciate Mark Ruffalo, the actor and activist, tweeted this out. Congressman Ro Khanna tweeted it out. Susan Sarandon tweeted it out. Marianne Williamson tweeted it out. Erin Brockovich tweeted it out, calling it you will never read a greater cover-up than this. That's what Erin Brockovich said. And boy, did she expose a cover-up in her day, right? I sent it to NBC News. I sent it to ABC News, CBS News, PBS, BuzzFeed, Daily Beast, New York Times, The Washington Post, CNN. It's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. But what can I do? We need to keep going. We need to keep pushing the story. You know, there is history that, you know, sometimes stories can break and get nothing, and then all of a sudden something happens and they break bigger. Hold on one second. Sorry. Actually, a New York Times editor got back to me, so I've been DMing with her, seeing if she could get the New York Times to cover this. So we'll see. Keep pressing that like button. I want to get to comments, questions, concerns. Like I said, Jen will be covering the Medicare for All March tomorrow. I know I really haven't even been paying attention to it, but there's been a lot of rancor online about who's organizing it and who's speaking and all this. I don't know. I've been too busy with this Flint story. I've seen some of the speakers. Don't particularly like or respect a lot of them. I think several of them are grifters, but I don't think that should overshadow the message, which is Medicare for all. So, of course, we're going to cover it. I'm not really interested in the organizers or the speakers. I'm interested in the people going out to march. I'm interested in their stories. And Jen's going to be covering it tomorrow. Then, later next week, we will be going to Cleveland for Nina Turner's congressional election. I think, obviously, this is a congressional election, but I think it's a big deal. I think, obviously, we see the Democratic Party throwing everything at this little district in Ohio to try and stop Nina Turner from winning. So I'll be on the ground covering it a couple days before and, of course, on election night. As you know, all of this costs money. The Flint reporting, the continually going back to Flint. We just were on the road for 2 weeks. That costs a lot of money between 3 people. Jen's reporting and me going back to Cleveland. I'm also trying to figure out a time that I could go to Minnesota to cover the ongoing Line 3 protests. So I really hope just join us if you haven't. Statusquo.com/join. Right now we're at 1,900 paying Status Quo members. We've kind of had this dance where we get close to 2,000, but then we lose members. A lot of that was because of COVID and people falling on tough times. And then we get closer to 2,000, but then we lose. I'd love to just rocket ship, not in Jeff Bezos' space shuttle, but in ours. I'd love to rocket to 2,000. So for those that are not members, I really hope you'll sign up. Statusquo.com/join. $5 a month. $5 a month. You could help support this this journalism. And do you see anyone else still covering Flint? Do you see anyone else on the road as much as we are? I don't think so. So, without further ado, let's open it up to the community. Comments, questions, concerns. I'll try to answer everything I can. I believe Jen's coming on in a few minutes, so she'll join us. She was en route to D.C. So, let me see what's going on. Jordan is a river where Jesus tried to surf. That's true. That's true. Actually, I was named after the Jordan River, if you don't know that. My mom, I think, was on the Jordan River with a friend when she was a teenager. And I guess fell in love with the name. And that's how I was named, the Jordan River. Support the stream and get your voice heard. I agree. So come on, folks. I know you have questions. I know you have comments. Good evening to everyone. You too, Nathaniel. Let me take some water while I wait. Michael Jordan River. By the way, I am cautiously optimistic. Waiting. I hope Michael Moore will be tweeting something about this story. So let's all hope. And if you can, tweet at him, at MMFlint. Lisa Yoder, $4.99. Hubs from Flint. I'm from Lansing, now in red state hell. I cannot believe that Michigan peeps are not demanding answers. Well, Lisa, I appreciate the super chat, by the way. How could they demand answers if they don't know what's going on? That's the thing. It is enraging to me. The overwhelming majority of Flint has not seen this story and doesn't know what we uncovered. Guaranteed the overwhelming part of Michigan has not seen this story or any of the stories we've done because they might not read The Intercept or they have two jobs or they're raising kids. So they turn on the TV or they go on the web for a couple minutes a day to the Detroit Free Press, Detroit News, maybe their local channels, and it's not there. So this is a major reason that we created Status Quo, because how do you change anything if the people are clueless? Seriously, how do you change anything if the people are clueless? But I appreciate the super chat. Running Man, who else is covering this cover-up? It's a great question, Running Man. So far, Matt Taibbi and Katie Halper had us on. Tom Hartman had me on. We're going on Abby Martin. We're going on Rising at the Hill. I went on Charlie LaDuff's show earlier today. It's a podcast. He is a Pulitzer Prize winning Michigan journalist and a friend of mine. I went on with him. He is totally one of the few non-corrupt journalists who actually investigates. Other than that, I haven't seen peep from the Detroit Free Press, the Detroit News, the Flint Journal, which is the hometown Flint paper, CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, the Associated Press. Actually, I saw CNN earlier, and literally Don Lemon and the anchor he was with, I don't know her name, were literally singing theme songs. I guess they're doing a show on theme songs. They were literally sitting there giggling, singing legendary theme songs. As the biggest cover-up of the 21st century is there to be covered, and they can care less. It's ridiculous. Aggravated progressive. Will Nina Turner lead the squad? Well, first step is she's got to get elected. Listen, I don't worship anyone. Nina Turner, Bernie Sanders, they're people and they're politicians. So Whether she'll lead the squad, whether she'll carve her own niche, I don't know. But what I do know, and I think a lot of, progressives who are growing too extreme might be forgetting, it's very important to look at actions rather than words, not just in politics, just period in life. And Nina Turner's actions speak for themselves. I mean, when she unendorsed Hillary Clinton in 2015 and went to Bernie Sanders, who at that time had no campaign structure, was like the campaign was flying by the seat of their pants. There was nothing in it for her. She wasn't going to make money, or, how could she know she was going to become a star off of it? She did it out of principle. Just like at the Democratic National Convention in 2016, she spoke out about the DNC and Hillary's campaign's deplorable treatment of Bernie voters and Bernie delegates who were there. She went across the country for Bernie in 2020. She basically lived in South Carolina for Bernie. So, okay, maybe she's not ranting and raving against the Democratic Party enough for some people's liking, well, because she's trying to win a campaign in a very, very, very establishment blue district. And look at the attacks they're waging on her now. If she were to do what a lot of these people online wanted her to do and just run a campaign scorched earth against Biden and the Democratic Party, you're looking at the attacks now when she hasn't done that. Wait for the all-out assault. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars would be spent against her, painting her as Lucifer and against the Democratic Party and all these things. So I don't know if she'll lead the squad, but what I do know is from my dealings with her, my covering her, this person seems to have a backbone. This person seems to follow a purpose. She does not seem, maybe it's because she's older than a lot of the squad members, she does not seem politically naive to me. And Bernie certainly was politically naive. I said it since 2016. So it remains to be seen, but I think the progressive movement is better off with her in Congress than without her in Congress. What did Nina Turner accomplish on her first go-around in government? I don't know her record so much as a city councilwoman. She was actually known as a deal maker and made deals with different, I think, Republicans too. But I don't know her full record, so I don't want to bullshit you. But she's very well known in Cleveland and Akron. She's got a lot more name recognition than Shontel Brown. That's a big reason why Shontel Brown, because nobody knows her for anything, because she hasn't accomplished anything, is desperate for the help of national Democrats, including James Clyburn, to basically lift her into victory by smearing Nina Turner. So if Shontel Brown was very accomplished, she wouldn't need that now, would she? Love Matt and Katie. Yes, I very much enjoyed being on with them. F. Don Lemon, couldn't agree more. Henry, that's why we refused to let Nina Turner speak at the National Convention. Those bastards. Correct. MSM is a joke, Jordan. I agree. There's our Substack link. You could go become a free member if you want at statusquo.substack.com. Jordan, you're the man. Appreciate it. Thank you for your thoughts, Terry Stack, and support. Michael Moore's email. Wow, you have Michael Moore's email. I don't even have that. I'm copying and pasting that. Thank you. I deal with his producer mostly. So, thank you very much. Hold on. So, thanks for the answer, Jordan. No problem. Everyone, oh boy, these are coming quick. Everyone needs to do all they can. Time will reveal Nina Turner. Don't worry, folks. Save your apathy for after the fact. In the meantime, solidarity with the Frito-Lay's workers. Yes, I interviewed the Frito-Lay workers the other day. It was a long interview. I think it was like an hour and 15 minutes, but really, really informative, and definitely should check that out. And I think this is an important comment, James, and I know, I might get in trouble for saying this, but it's not just apathy. It's not just apathy we're dealing with in the progressive movement right now. And, I understand, And by the way, we got almost 300 people watching Summer Friday. So smash this like button, share the live stream. It's not just apathy that we're dealing with. It's growing nihilism. It's basically, a growing subsection of the progressive movement. I don't think they're bad people, and I think they're rightfully pissed off and cynical and all those things. But it's a growing list of people that are kind of missing the forest for the trees, or the trees for the forest. I forget how that goes. And are essentially kind of forgetting that the goal of being a political activist is making progress. Now, we're not talking about incremental little crumbs, but like real progress. And it seems to me a lot of people online, frankly, they're getting riled up by a lot of YouTube hosts and others are more focused on like everybody being in lockstep 100,000%, no disagreement at all, no disagreement in policy, no disagreement in strategy, no disagreement on what the weather is. And if you disagree or you stray from the pure side, then you are a sellout and you are a fraud. I mean, we even saw it when I interviewed Nina Turner. She wasn't ranting enough against the Democratic Party. She definitely was hedging in her answers. And nobody could understand the nuance of, yeah, she's trying to win an election. And what you want might make for great videos and clicks on YouTube, but would be political suicide if she started ranting against Joe Biden and the Democratic Party in a district that overwhelmingly voted for Joe Biden and overwhelmingly has voted for establishment Democrats. She, running on Medicare for all, has been in the lead the whole time by focusing on the issues. She ain't running for Congresswoman of YouTube. I even saw 2 days ago when we broke this bombshell story. And again, if you have not seen this story, I really, really, really hope you will read it. I beg you, share it. We're almost at 1,700 retweets. I know that might sound like, who cares about the retweets? It matters. The more traction we get on Twitter, the more people see this, the more I could take that tweet, send it to celebrities, send it to politicians. People by human nature see like, oh, this thing's big. It's going viral here, or mini viral. Maybe they'll share it. Maybe they'll speak out. It sucks that we have to fight this hard just to get a major story that everybody should be covering, but that's reality. But I even had people yesterday saying, yeah, great story, but we can't share it because it's in The Intercept. It's just unbelievable. Okay, so you don't like The Intercept? You don't like Ryan Grimm? Well, let me tell you something. If I got a call right now from the executive producer of Rachel Maddow's show asking me for information because they want to cover it or asking us on, I would not hesitate. I would do it in a second. There's something called like get shit done. There's something called like the bigger picture. It's the story. It doesn't matter if like The Intercept has done stories you don't like or its editor you think is a patsy for the Democratic Party, which I think is ridiculous. He's not. I don't like every interview he does. I think he did one with Pramila Jayapal that was pretty soft. I think he admitted it after that. But if you look at The Intercept's front page, most of the shit they do is critical of the Democratic Party. They break stories on Democratic Party corruption. Like, so because Ryan Grimm doesn't rant against the Democratic Party or AOC or slam them as much as like others do, he's that canceled. I mean, this is the kind of thinking that's getting us nowhere. It's getting a lot of people clicks, but it's getting us nowhere. It's the classic, the left eats itself alive. And I'm not a part of that. I don't care if I lose people because of that. I think it's stupid. You don't have to agree with every person. You don't have to love every outlet. But to unilaterally say, no, I can't share it because it's that. Hell, if Fox News was the only outlet that would run that story, I would have done it. Anyway, Bonnie agreed. Nina Turner knows politics and does have a chance of really getting something done. James, everyone, I read that one. I don't know how this. Then Kate Swarren, status quo does what mainstream media is unwilling to do. By the way, status quo does what mainstream media should be doing with 1/10 of the resources that all of these outlets have. Literally, 1/10 of the resources. Carne Verde, Nita's already been accused as a closet Republican by the National Democratic Party sponsored Brown campaign. Exactly. And by the way, if Nina Turner is such a fraud and a sellout and not real, why do you think the Democratic Party nationally is throwing all the mud, all the slime, all the lies they can? Why do you think that would be? Do you think they think she's a fraud? Do you think they think she'll just fall in line when she's there? Vote Green Party. Don't get discouraged, Jordan. You're doing a great job. More people will come around. They're asleep, but slowly waking up. I appreciate that. I hope you're right. James Root. I love the fact that the establishment is coming at her hard. It means she hasn't cucked just yet. That's what I'm saying. And by the way, Nina Turner's not perfect. If she gets in there and she starts making compromises right out of the gate that are too much, giving up too much, if she doesn't fight hard enough, then she is subject to shaming, pressure, and all those things. But like, you're going to shame somebody who's not even in there yet? Beauty and the diabetes. Too many commenting Nina would have national help if she chose to run indie. There's little chance she could win outside of a registered party. I got to tell you, and I don't really care if I get grief for this, I'm not against the third party at all. I think it would be great. But like, the people saying those things are not either are intentionally lying to you or are living in a cloud. First of all, I don't even know if Nina Turner could have run on the Movement for a People's Party ticket in this race. It's not clear whether they even structurally, MPP, could have ran her as a candidate. As far as I know, they don't have any candidates yet. Happy to be corrected, but I haven't seen any yet. So, okay, so then what? You wanted to run in the Green Party in a extremely establishment Democrat district? And she would have got major outside support if she ran as an indie? Well, first of all, she's getting major outside support. She's getting huge grassroots donations. Bernie's going there. AOC is there this weekend. Former NAACP chair Ben Jealous is going. I believe others are going before the election. I just think, like, you know, it's not on Nina Turner to, like, revive the third party movement or run third party. She's trying to win. And the best chance to win is running as a Democrat in that district. It's just reality. And it doesn't make her a fraud or a sellout because she's running as a Democrat. People need to get out of this insane, black or white, all or nothing nihilism. James Root, Frito-Lay Union is the perfect example to show people who still don't believe in unions, show them that without their union, Frito-Lay workers would be Amazon workers, essentially screwed. I couldn't agree more. And by the way, it's not just Frito-Lay. You got the coal miners that have been striking in Alabama. There's a strike going on in South Dakota. You have Amazon workers in New York that are organizing and might be filing for a union by the fall. So there are things going on. It's not like a general strike quite yet, but there's these steps going right now, and it hopefully will spread to other workers. James Root, Rockfin needs us more. If you could get on the Rockfin. We're live on Rockfin right now, and we go exclusively once a week on Rockfin on Wednesdays. So we have an exclusive once a week show on Rockfin, and we are on other days on Rockfin too, along with YouTube. James Root, laughing my ass off. Jordan butchering sayings. Oh, I butcher a lot. Forest through the trees. Thank you for the tip. What else? Let me see. think I missed the... When are your people going to realize electoral politics is dead and no one's going to save anybody or move anything? Good luck with that. Well, Bland, respectfully, then why are you watching? Why don't you just give up if it's all for nothing and it's all hopeless? I think you have selective amnesia, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm just keeping it real because you made the comment. If electoral politics is so dead, then why was Bernie Sanders, if he didn't fuck it up, in my view, because he did fuck it up, why was Bernie Sanders 10 days away from clinching the Democratic nomination? Which, to me, the harder thing would have been winning the nomination. I think it would have been easier for him to beat Trump. So why, if electoral politics is hopeless, I mean, Bernie Sanders won Iowa, he won New Hampshire, he kicked ass in Nevada, and because he made mistakes, many mistakes, including after Nevada not tweaking his message at all to try and target the older voters that had all they had received was brainwashing and propaganda towards him. He was on 60 Minutes, the biggest audience in news. A lot of old people watch it. And he took the bait and about Fidel Castro, which then became a 4-day thing. Instead of just saying, I'm not running for president of Cuba. I'm not going to get involved with your distractions. And I have a message for a lot of your viewers who might have been told things about me that are not true. I know for a fact, because I've spoken with people with his campaign, they were screaming when they saw him take the bait on Fidel Castro. Aggravated progressives. Where is the story published? It's published at The Intercept as well as the Detroit Metro Times. It was co-published in The Intercept and the Detroit Metro Times. Here's the Twitter. Here's my tweet with the link to the Intercept story. See? DB, but Jordan, where do we end the politics and get into reality and expose the establishment and condemn it? The issues are great, but they get nowhere when politics wins. I don't really know what you mean by that. Where do we end the politics and get into reality and expose the establishment and condemn it? The issues are great, but they get nowhere when politics wins. Well, first of all, I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I don't know why people are giving this false choice between electoral politics and outside organizing, outside boycotts. Why don't we do both? Like, by the way, the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King, that was outside electoral politics. And their movement forced a politician, so electoral politics, President Lyndon B. Johnson, to sign the Voting Rights Act. Like, the politicians are the one with the power right now to pass laws. So we need both. And by the way, the corporations, they control the politicians. So if we start having economic boycotts, the politicians will change real quick when their donors start losing money. There she is.
Hi.
Sorry
for the delay.
I've been doing a long monologue.
Not you.
We got 350 people watching, joining us. Jen Dyes.
Hi, everybody.
From DC. Tell them about why you're there.
So I'm joining you from a hotel room in Washington, D.C. I just got through hellish traffic. My intention was to shower and look presentable and be here on time. But, best laid plans. I cannot describe the traffic. But the important part is that I'm here to report tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time at the March for Medicare for All that is taking place in 50 cities across the nation. I'm sure you all have heard about it. And wow, Colin, man, that is the worst picture. But it does display that I will be reporting in DC at the March for Medicare for All, and there will be several well-known speakers, including Marianne Williamson. So it should be very interesting.
I thought she was speaking in LA.
Nope, she's speaking here.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, it seems like this is kind of like DC is kind of like the hub. This is going to be the main attraction here. So it should be quite interesting. We'll see. And also, I think I saw on the docket that DJ Joe Nice, is that his name? That is going to be here too, and he's fantastic. I'm really excited. I'm most excited for him.
I think I said to you we should give him a show.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he would be amazing. Like, I'm really excited to meet him, because if you guys aren't aware, if you don't remember him, he was around for I think the Dante Wright or maybe the Andrew Brown protest. Andrew Brown protest. So John, who does camera work for us often, had interviewed him, and he's just amazing. He's an actual DJ, and he does great work, and he's a real spitfire. He has a lot of really important, great things to say, and he's just really engaging to watch. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what he has to say and to meet him. So, and I don't know how many people are expected, but we'll see what the turnout is. I think a lot of people obviously want Medicare for all in this country. And so I expect there will be quite a lot of people here in DC and fighting for Medicare for all. So I'm excited. Yeah, 11 a.m. Eastern time.
And I'll say this, and it might get me in trouble, but I don't really care. This isn't just to the Medicare for all marchers, to everybody. I've said this respectfully to Black Lives Matter, because certainly I'm not black and it's their movement. But I've said this probably for 6 months now. It's not that marching and doing these things is not important, but if there's no threat behind it, then we're just going to keep marching till we're all dead. Because the politicians, let them march. The cops, maybe not so, because we see cops crack a lot of skulls. The corporations, let them march. We'll put Black Lives Matter in our window as we, continue to, in the case of banks, charge black people more, higher interest rates and higher mortgage rates and all that. But, I've always said, imagine for a second. And I to be clear, I'm not trying to take away from like the racial justice message, but imagine for a second when you're talking millions of people were marching for George Floyd for weeks. Imagine if even just like a fraction of them organized and started a boycott against Amazon, Walmart, fast food, corporate banking, you name it. And everybody can't do that. Some families are on a fixed income and unfortunately can only afford maybe fast food and things like that for their children. But there's a lot of people out there who could have protested with their feet and their wallet. And I just think this isn't geared towards tomorrow's march. It's just geared towards the left in general. They didn't kill Martin Luther King when he was protesting for civil rights. They killed him when he started talking about economic justice and that the greed and evil of capitalism. So to me, why don't we get some people out there to start demanding these things, or at the very least a vote on these things? And if not, we are going to, not one day, because there's been like Amazon boycotts for a day, we are going to, with our wallets, in an organized fashion, we're talking tens of thousands of people, and hopefully you grow it. Here's the list. We're not using them. Because we haven't really seen that yet. To be clear, this is all easier said than done. It's not easy. But if you're getting all these people out to march, why can't you get a lot of them to do this? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm all for marches and rallies because those things bring visibility, especially when outlets like us show up, because then we're able to bring, whatever's happening locally to the internet, and then more people see it. And that's social proof. So I come from a marketing background, and one of the ways to get more people on board with something is to show social proof. It's catching. If a group of people is doing something, you're more likely to do it and to join in. But clearly, as Jordan is pointing out, if all we're doing is marching and protesting and not hitting people in power where it hurts, nothing is going to happen. And it's a tricky thing to talk about because you don't want to belittle the efforts of anyone, especially not the Black-led marches of the George Floyd protests, Breonna Taylor protests and marches. Those efforts. That is why Derek Chauvin got what he got. That is the only reason. If there weren't those marches, he would have never gotten those charges. He wouldn't be in jail. Like nothing. It would have been the same old thing. So that did have some consequences, of course, and that, as organizers rightly pointed out, that wasn't the system working. That was the result of organizers' efforts. That was the result of protests, and that was the result of marches. So that said, I think nobody could argue that the hope for those marches and protests was a lot larger, that real systemic change could happen. And that's not what happened. And it's died down a lot, and the people in power are, back to rubbing their paws together and doing what they do. And I think, to really make true change, it has to hit people in power in their wallets. It has to hit companies and corporations in their wallets. It always comes down to money. It always comes down to hitting those in power, where it truly hurts. And marches, it works for social proof. It works for getting people on board, but it doesn't lead to change unless it's truly hurting power. So, I guess, I agree. I never want to belittle the efforts of marches like what's going to happen tomorrow, or Black Lives Matter marches, but it has to go further. It has to be, I agree, it has to be boycotts. It has to be strikes. It has to be much, much bigger in order to make true change. We all have to wake up as a country.
And by the way, that fits with the nihilists who think all the politicians are sellouts and frauds. You don't need the politicians for this. We could all do it on our own. It would be nice if you had some politicians leading the charge, but you really don't need the politicians for this. I can't pronounce the username, but $2. Thank you. Hey, y'all. Cowboy hats and smiley faces. Google LASD gangs. Okay, we'll do. Let's see.
I want to address some things.
Can I read more?
Yeah, you can read whatever you want.
Diane Bullock, $5. Is it worrisome that Nina told Washington Post she doesn't support the Medicare marches because their voters don't want what might not have the votes to pass right now? I did not see that. Is that actually what she said, Jen?
No, I'm going to go apeshit on this if this comes up tomorrow. So, no, guys.
Well, excuse me. Why don't you go apeshit right now? I'm enjoying it.
Well, I am. I'm about to go.
Okay.
Ape bat bleep right now. Okay, so not me. Well, we can put it on this. Why can't I put it on the screen? I can't. I don't know why. Maybe you can. So to reiterate, so what this comment is saying, organizers of the march booked Ohio speakers who are hostile to Nina and are harassing her to go, and their march hours away from district just days before election. So not me is here making a great point. You're making the right point. This is what people need to get through their tiny little pea brains. There are people who are out there right now hitting Nina and saying, oh, Nina Turner is not truly for Medicare for All because she's not attending this march. There's a march happening in Columbus, Ohio, and Nina Turner is not going, so she's a fraud. If she gets elected, she's going to be part of the fraud squad. Hashtag fraud squad. No, go away. You're stupid. No, Nina Turner's election is very, very soon, August 3rd. Nina Turner is being hit on all fronts by the heaviest of heaviest hitters in the Democratic establishment. Nina Turner does not live, nor will she serve if elected, in Columbus, Ohio. Why would she go to Columbus, Ohio directly before her election? That makes no sense at all. Also, it has to be said, there are a lot of problems with the organization of these Medicare for All marches. There are people who are looking to attack Nina Turner with everything they have. I don't have to get into it, but yeah, I'm sure people are acting in good faith and trying their best to organize these marches. But yeah, they did let in a neo-Nazi. Yeah, they did accept the endorsement of the new Black Panther Party, which is exceptionally anti-Semitic and has been denounced by the actual Black Panther Party. And yeah, they've done a lot of shady stuff that you wouldn't, if you're about to run, necessarily want to be associated with or like have pasted on your forehead by attending something not in your district right before your election. This by no means says that Nina Turner doesn't want Medicare for all. We know that Nina Turner wants Medicare for all because this is what she's fought for a very, very long time. So, and also, like, again, Nina Turner will not be serving Columbus, Ohio. That's not her district. And it's not even close. Like it's a far drive. She needs to get out the vote with, like, AOC is coming. That's what they're doing tomorrow is get out the vote in her actual district with AOC, which is a great idea. Like strategically, you can't deny that's a great, fantastic move for Nina Turner in her actual district to get out the vote. That's what they're doing tomorrow instead of driving down to Columbus, not her district, for a march that could, like, the Democratic establishment could easily like associate her with the neo-Nazis and the new Black Panther Party and like this shit show of some of these people have turned this into. So that does not mean she's hashtag fraud squad. This means nothing. This means absolutely nothing. And I will lose my mind if people conflate this. Like, focus. If you want Medicare for all, and if you want to attend this march in your local area, then do so. Great. If it so happens that someone like Charles Booker has a brand new baby, and his wife is having a brand new baby and is unable to attend any longer, that's unfortunate. But that's okay. That's all right. We know that Charles Booker wants Medicare for all. That's fine. No worries. It's okay. It doesn't mean he's a fraud. It's okay. Everyone can do what they want to do. Their actions matter. Like, people need to chill.
Can I make a broader point that's a little more
important?
Do it,
Jordan, do it.
A little more important of whether she attends the march or not?
Mm-hmm.
She's running fucking ads for Medicare for all in her campaign in this district. She is running ads about her mother dying, I think at 42 years old, in large part because she didn't have health insurance. Like, what are you guys doing? She was winning before the National Democratic Party came in. She was up by 30 points running on Medicare for all. She's not running on Medicare for all who want it. I saw somebody ask or say that she told the Washington Post she's not, Diane, $5. Is it worrisome that Nina told WAPO she doesn't support the marches because her voters don't want what, quote, might not have the votes to pass right now? Not that I'm denying, I'm not denying it. I just didn't see that. I don't know the full quote. If you could send me the full quote, I'd be happy to read it, like while we're live, because that doesn't sound to me like, why would somebody who's running ads on Medicare for All say, no, I'm not supporting a rally because my voters don't want it right now? Like, that's, I don't know if she directly said that or somebody told you that. I don't know. And on this thing, because I know there's one person in like Columbus, Ohio. I don't know the person, but I guess she's one of the organizers who's just going like balls to the wall, like smearing Nina Turner, this and that, because you won't go to your rally. First of all,
Why would she want to if you're shitting on her constantly?
First of all, because I've covered politics for years. So these people might not understand. It's less than 2 weeks till the election. Just to move things around in a campaign, because you got things lined up all day, every day, going to, nursing homes to talk to older voters, going to colleges, going to barber shops, trying to go to the bathroom, phone banking. Finding people were like, oh, she could go for an hour or whatever. Like, it's not, time is precious so close to a campaign, and it would be probably a 2-3 hour thing for her to, actually longer, because Cleveland to Columbus, I think it's an hour.
It would
and
be
a half.
about a 5-hour round trip total,
Right?
At least to do like
So
attend and do, yeah.
Right. So she's basically, she would basically be punting a full day of campaigning to go to this march. I mean, it just seems like people are living in la la land. I'm not belittling the march. We're covering it because the issue is more important to us than like questionable speakers or organizers that might be grifters. And there are both, to be clear. The issue is what matters. The people that will be marching genuinely want this. We genuinely believe in Medicare for All. So we're covering it. But we're not
Medicare for All is my number one issue. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're not going to whitewash it. Like, there are some speakers that are speaking that actually are on the record that they're not even for Medicare for All. That's the ironic part. There are speakers speaking that are anti-Semitic. I don't use that card much, but like, as a Jew, I find that problematic. I kind of think really what's going on here, not that there's not some people attached that might not be good, but frankly, I think a lot of the people that launched the idea with good intentions probably soon realize, holy shit, this is a lot more complicated than we thought. Launching a cross-country march with needing speakers in every state and, organization in every state, promotion in every state, and probably just started seeking and taking speakers without really looking into them that far. Maybe some of them, they did know the issues and disregarded it. But the overall issue is the march. That's what we care about. But like, to me, this isn't really about Nina Turner. This is about the nihilism we've been talking about. This is basically like, living in a world where if politicians aren't acting as YouTube commenters and YouTube hosts are not, all YouTube hosts aren't operating as like a Twitter troll, then they're sellouts and they're frauds. By the way, we've been extremely critical of the Squad, Bernie. So there's no issue with pressuring politicians or critically covering politicians or criticizing them. But that's different than this all-out scorched earth world where like Nina Turner's now a fraud. By the way, the same people saying this were the ones rallying with her in 2016 at the DNC convention when she raised hell about how they were treating Bernie Sanders delegates. Everybody has such selective amnesia right now in the progressive movement. So listen, maybe Nina Turner, besides the fact that it's hard to move all your things less than 2 weeks before an election, where, by the way, the polls are shrinking, her lead has shrunk dramatically. But maybe she doesn't want to go because she doesn't want to give the Democratic Party more ammo to go after. Maybe she's doing what a lot of people criticize Bernie for not doing and doing whatever the fuck she has to do to win. Because Bernie would
and
not
not
do.
with someone with 6,000 like Twitter followers things.
Right. Like maybe Bernie did not go for the jugular. Bernie did not do everything he needed to win. I said Bernie, when he was on 60 Minutes, that was the end of his campaign. It wasn't that Biden won South Carolina. Bernie had for finally the biggest audience of older normie voters, and he was the front runner. Remember, the media was hyperventilating. Chris Matthews was comparing it to the Nazis storming Paris.
Yeah.
And Bernie, on 60 Minutes, refused to tweak his message at all and took the bait on Fidel Castro. And that gave the media the chance to smear him for 4 days about Fidel Castro, which taps into older voters, you know, brainwashing on Cuba and Russia and all that shit. But the bottom line is, like, my God, because Nina Turner's not coming to your rally, like, in the crunch time of her campaign, people have lost the plot. And this isn't even, like, to me, it's not even defending Nina Turner per se, because during our interview, I said after, she clearly dodged some answers. She clearly sidestepped some answers. She clearly was not talking like the Nina Turner of the Democratic primaries. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, we're not naive. It's clear that she has tweaked her message to try and win in an extremely Democratic establishment district. But if you have a crystal ball that's telling you that means when elected, she's going to suddenly be like, you know, marching for Medicare extra, then I think you guys really need to take a breath.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, and if that's the case, then she does need to be called out, like, absolutely. But those who criticize something that might happen, that's not fair in any circumstance. And I want to address Allie, who says, okay, she doesn't need to come, but can she endorse it? No. If I were her advisor, I would say, absolutely not. Do not endorse this. No, that would be a horrible move for you. Because once again, the Democratic establishment, who is using every force they have against Nina Turner, they will immediately use, again, like I've already said, what they could easily use. I can re-say it.
They invited Nazis to speak, for God's sakes.
They invited Nazis to speak. Like, it's not hard. You can say, like, oh, they were a catfish. Okay, but they didn't have to post that on the main account. They accepted the endorsement of the new Black Panther Party. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to quietly then delete it without making a statement. They didn't, so Medicare for All is my main thing. It's my personal thing that I want the most, I care about the most. I would personally, if I were a political advisor, tell Nina Turner, stay the hell away from this if you want to win in your district, because the Democratic establishment will smear you with this. Do not even talk about it. That's the truth. And if we want someone in Congress like Nina Turner, think back to when you loved Nina Turner, when you saw her as a ball of fire for Bernie and for those policies. Think back to that. Why did you love Nina Turner? There was a reason. If you want someone like that in Congress, she has to win in her district, in her Biden district.
Mark,
so
can I just
think about it?
I'm going to go nuclear now. Mark Smith,
do it.
Snuggle up to the establishment. Snuggle up to the establishment. That always works for the people. Hey, Mark, is she snuggling up to Hillary Clinton, who just endorsed her opponent? Is she snuggling up to James Clyburn, who literally is going to Cleveland or just went to Cleveland to campaign against her? Is she snuggling up against the Democratic Party for Israel, the slimy super PAC that spent God knows how much money against Bernie? Snuggling up to them? Is she snuggling up to Nancy Pelosi, who I'm hearing might endorse Shontel Brown during the week? Like, what are you talking about? Snuggling up to the establishment? Because she's accepting AOC supporting her and coming to campaign for her? Guess what, Mark? Congressional elections are notoriously low turnout affairs. Older people are the most reliable voters. So, yeah, let me say no thanks to a huge political superstar among young people who I've criticized I think is folding like a cheap tent, AOC. But yeah, let's not welcome her with open arms to try and rev up younger turnout. Who is she snuggling with? This is the insane, and I don't really care if you take umbrage. You don't have to watch. This is the insane, unproductive, nihilistic mindset that's going to continue to keep the progressive movement in the wilderness till the ends of time. Forced to vote, which I was for, forget it.
Mm-hmm. We were both for it.
Forget that.
And then it turned into a cult.
Even like getting a public option, which I want more. If all we're doing is basically canceling everybody that's not like a fire-breathing dragon at all times to satisfy you on YouTube, then you need to rethink what you want. I have people, literally, we committed a sin, Jen. A sin by crediting Bernie Sanders for the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. A sin. Because they said, oh, I'll believe it when I see it. Oh, this is crumbs compared to what we need. It's the biggest spending package in modern American history. And the only reason they agreed to $3.5 trillion is because Bernie Sanders did what you've been complaining that he hasn't done for years. He played hardball. He said, I will not vote for the bipartisan reconciliation bill. I will not vote for the reconciliation bill that Biden so desperately wants if there's no, not the reconciliation, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, if there's no reconciliation bill. And oh, by the way, the reconciliation bill, I'm not going under $6 trillion. Now, of course, he knew they're not going to go to $6 trillion, but he shot for the stars and got them to $3.5 trillion. When you add in $600 billion that might come from this bipartisan deal, that's $4.1 trillion. And that's not good enough for you? He's not the president. Progressives don't have a majority in Congress. That's enormous progress, but it doesn't seem like people care anymore about any form of progress if it's not exactly right away what they want. John, you sound like Jank. Okay. I sound like Jank. All right. Well, if speaking reality is like Jank, who I don't think speaks reality, then okay. Like somebody made some good point. Guys, are we turning into Scientology? It is a bit cultish, this thinking. Mm-hmm. Somebody just said, red salute, Jordan, quote, reality is hopeless. We can't keep, quote, wishing on a star and playing the game. Real change will require fire breathing. First of all, red salute, and I don't mean this disrespectfully. If it's all hopeless, then why are you watching any political shows? Why are you involved at all? If it's all for nothing, if nothing's ever going to change, if it's just hopeless, then why don't you just get some whiskey, weed, tea, whatever, and turn it all off. Watch some reality TV. That's number one.
Just go get a cabin like Ted.
Number two, real change will require fire breathing. Yes and no. Martin Luther King, and I keep using him, Martin Luther King was about bringing all types of people together, including black people. He even collaborated in some cases with some white groups that had a history of racism. He wasn't like, Pox, no, you can't march with us if you don't agree with us on everything. He was a fire breather, but he was also strategic. While he was fire breathing, he was also working Lyndon B. Johnson and other Democrats. So this whole no, if all of us just rant and all of us are just fire breathing like dragons, that's the only way to create change. You're delusional if you think that. You're delusional if you think that. I've told you what we think is the way to make change. It's one part getting fighters into Congress. I do think Nina Turner is a fighter. I haven't seen any actions by her that make me think she's not. She's running on Medicare for all, not Medicare for all who want it. She's running on a Green New Deal. Do you want her to like sign it in blood? I think outside of electoral politics, we need to start economically boycotting. It's very simple. That's how the establishment, who is run by the donors, actually pays attention. But like this idea that if everybody just rants like as loud as Jimmy Dore, or everybody just rants as loud as others, or everybody just rants like, you know, MPP people, if we all just rant equally at the same decibel. And by the way, I agree with Jimmy on most of the policies, but you are not going to rant your way to change. And if that sounds like Cenk Uygur, then fuck off. Because I don't think Cenk Uygur has been as critical as the AOC, the squad, Bernie. He has barely criticized them. And I certainly don't think Cenk Uygur is taking 17 trips to Flint to expose the biggest government cover-up of the 21st century.
In fact, he did not understand the purpose of such a thing. He
fought me, by the way. Before I was fired, he kept fighting me on going back to Flint, saying it's a local story at this point. So
a local story.
Red salute. To tell you the truth, I think a lot of people, good-intentioned people, are starting to get into this cult-like thinking that if you're not all on board our train of rage, and by the way, Jen and I have said we're angry, we're cynical. We understand. But you can't take that and just close your eyes to reality either. And reality is, folks, you're not going to rant your way to this. I said it at the time. I agreed with forced to vote, but ranting against AOC and calling her a fraud and a sellout and Lucifer and all these things, it's kind of goes against, like, human psychology. If you're trying to pressure people to do something, basically calling them villains and evil isn't going to get it done. It's actually counterproductive. There's smart ways of pressuring them. There's smart ways of shaming them. That was not done. It was just scorched earth. They're villains, which gave AOC the opening to basically dismiss it and say this is violence and all those things. Of course, it wasn't violence. But she was given the out because they were basically villainizing her from the get. So again, and I'll tell you straight up, we're not going to indulge in it. We're not on board with that. So if that's not good enough for you, you don't have to watch. But if you truly believe that that is the way to pressure politicians, to rant at them, and there's a different, you could criticize politicians. If it were me with forced to vote, I would have been pushing a hashtag, where's the ruckus, AOC? Where's the ruckus, AOC? AOC, Medicare for none? That's how you pressure her. That's how you shame her. Yes, Chris, there's a difference between playing hardball and going scorched earth on everyone. I mean, hell, privately, like in text message, I've had conversations with Jimmy about this and told him, I don't think going scorched earth, I know he's an angry comedian, all those things. I don't think going scorched earth on every moving target is going to get us anywhere. I just don't.
Yeah.
Bob, they need to fear us. Yeah, but that's the point. You are mistaking ranting and raving with making them fear you. That does not make them fear you.
You don't want
at all.
Yeah. Like right now, a lot of the, so-called progressive leftist
Jen,
space
I'll be right back.
Seems like
I'll be right back, Jen.
Just seems like lunatics. I want to address Jesse L, who says, to be honest, you guys are sounding like Cenk and Sam Cedar. That I think is laughable, because what's actually happening is there's a group of folks who are being so divisive, I would say, that sure, anyone sane and reasonable would, kind of lump us in with that category. I am no fan of Cenk Uygur. I am no fan of TYT. I don't know anything really about Sam Cedar. I've never really watched him, but I'm no fan of TYT. They did inexplicably horrible things to Jordan that I cannot talk about, but they're not good people at all. So that, first of all, is offensive to be lumped in with them. But even without that, no. Um, but I will say that there's such divisiveness even among people who I formerly thought were my friends and like formerly thought were kind of on the same page as me. The ball game has changed in ways that I can't explain. All I know is my heart and my mind are in the right place. I want progressive policies. I want good things. I want Bernie style policies and even left of that. And I can't explain what's going on in the online space right now. I'm extraordinarily frustrated daily. I do think that there's a lot of things going on right now that are not okay. I think there's a lot of purposefully divisive things going on right now that are kind of leading people astray. And I'm trying to be very careful with my wording right now because as a journalist, like I can't say things that aren't evidence-based and aren't, I can't say things that are like led with emotion, but yeah, there's a whole group of people that are kind of getting the same award right now. There's a whole group of people that are getting the same accolades right now, that are saying the same things, that are doing the same things. So when you say you sound like Cenk and Sam Cedar right now, no, that's not the case. What is the case is we are not sounding like the group of people that are baffling me at the moment. That's what I can say.
And I'll just wrap because we do want to take more. Jen wasn't here when I started off on the Flint topic, so I want to talk to her about it too. I'll just say that honestly, I have traveled the country for 6 years, so no disrespect to like Jimmy, Kyle Kalinske, Crystal, a lot of these other channels. I have a different perspective than a lot
KB,
of
no,
people.
Kyle Kalinske is not a fraud. I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but no, he's not, to be clear.
He's not a fraud. I have a different perspective just based on being on the ground. And I think people like kind of at the top line level know the country is corrupt, but don't really know what the layers look like. And I don't mean this in a cocky way. I know what the layers look like because I've seen it in the flesh, the state level, on the local level, and the federal level. Okay? So I could tell you, the corruption in this country was not built overnight. This developed over decades, starting with the loosening of laws and regulations on money in politics, advanced by union busting, advanced by corporations writing the trade deals that stole a lot of people's jobs and sold it offshore. So the levers of corruption in this country, which then are essentially emboldened by an entire multi-billion-dollar media industry. I mean, right now, we just broke, again, the biggest government cover-up of the 21st century. I do not hesitate to say that. The story we just broke is the biggest cover-up in this century, and not one media outlet has covered it. Mainstream media outlet has covered it. Why do you think that is, folks? I literally had a New York Times editor DM me, great story. So I said, thanks. Can you get the New York Times to do a write-up? No response. So I think people, because of the Bernie movement maybe got a false sense that like, oh, you could overcome all of this and you could topple this corrupt country just with one guy, Bernie, if he wins the presidency, or AOC and those people, the squad, when people were pro the squad, or let's say Nina Turner. You can't. This isn't me talking about incrementalism. This is me talking reality. We're not going to change or overthrow this corrupt system. Somebody said you got to make them fear you. They don't fear you. They're laughing at you. That's what you don't understand. They are laughing and ignoring you because you are giving them everything they need to ignore you and just paint you as quacks and paint you as loons and paint you as, divisive figures and all this stuff. You're not like strategically doing anything to pressure them. You're giving them everything they need to do nothing by just ranting, raving, and trying to cancel everybody in sight. That's what you're doing. So Kyle Kalinske was awesome like 5 minutes ago, but because, I don't know, he didn't contact Jimmy to tell him he wasn't going to be on the show, or he wasn't 1000% Team Jimmy, or he criticized Jimmy in some way. Fraud, sellout. Do you understand why this thinking is cult-like and dangerous? It's not about Kyle Kalinske per se. I think he did a video after saying, hey, I left some things out that I want to correct. It's about this thinking that let's just cancel everyone that 5 minutes ago we liked and we thought was a good progressive because they're not ranting and raving as much as I'm ranting and raving or my preferred YouTube host is ranting and raving. Do you want to be in a cult or do you want to get Medicare for all? Do you want to be in a cult or do you want to pressure politicians to actually do anything? I think forced to vote was a great idea. I was for it. I don't really care what Sam Cedar and the rest of them say. Mm-hmm. They would have been against it if Jank launched the idea. They would have been for it and cheerleading for it if Jank launched the idea. They were clearly against it, not based on the idea, based on Jimmy Dore. And they were saying shit that didn't even make sense, like this strategy would make Kevin McCarthy speaker, which was not true. So it's not about us not agreeing on strategy. I think, frankly, if AOC and the squad aren't going to do anything and they're just going to tweet, they should be primaried. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If they've AOC in particular ran on bringing the ruckus to the Democratic Party, and she instead is doing Rolling Stone covers with Mama Bear Pelosi and going on Morning Joe and thanking them for the compliment that she's just going along with the Democratic Party. She's not what's the word? She's not protected from a primary challenge or anything like that. The problem here is I think people are being conned into thinking you're going to actually change anything if we all just come in unison with fire out of our mouth. And that's not reality. And to cancel and block anyone else from our treehouse that's not doing that. Ro Khanna, for example, I don't think he's fighting hard enough at all. I think he's being too much of a politician.
He made a really stupid move, praising Bill freaking Kristol.
He said a ridiculous, tone-deaf, moronic tweet about Bill Kristol. Okay? However, he's the only congressperson right now that sent out a tweet about our Flint story. It's not easy to get a congressperson to even respond to you, much less tweet it out.
Twice.
Should I tell him to delete the tweet because of these other things? Well, according to the nihilists, I should. Should we have not done the story with The Intercept because Ryan Grimm has some haters? But by the way, The Intercept is the only outlet nationally that was willing to do it. And Ryan Grimm, the only editor willing to do it. He's the only reason our last 2 Flint stories have gotten out is Ryan Grimm. And so this constant Ryan Grimm hate, there are videos out there fully criticizing the Ryan Grimm's clothing from people and Ryan Grimm this, Ryan Grimm that.
No, Ryan Grimm is the reason our last two Flint stories are out. Like, get over it. Get over Ryan Grimm's clothing
Well, Jen,
and Ryan Grimm, like, whatever.
Jen,
Stop.
you didn't hear? You didn't hear Ryan Grimm is a bigger impediment to change than Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. It's Ryan
And
Grimm that's the real threat.
clearly, well, and you know what? The thing is, like with this Medicare for All march that I'm covering tomorrow, Ryan Grimm got a lot of crap for this, for supposedly being against Medicare for All, which he is not, at all. He's just not. And he literally interviewed Tara Reid and one of the Medicare for All, March for Medicare for All leaders. And nobody, like none of the leaders like retweeted it because they were shitting on him, but like prior to this interview that he had them on Rising. So nobody cares about the truth. They only care about the smears. And it's incredibly, incredibly frustrating that it's only about people hate like identity politics, and rightly so, I think in a lot of cases. But think about why you hate, if you do, and we've said this before, Ryan Grimm. Think about why you are now saying like Kyle Kalinske has sold out. Kyle Kalinske has not sold out. And I want to emphasize too about Kyle Kalinske. As soon as a very ridiculous and obviously absurd smear came out about Kyle Kalinske, and I have to speak my truth here, like this is the truth, came out about Kyle Kalinske last week, there were people very immediately retweeting this and liking this and sharing this all over the place, all freaking over the place, ready to pounce, a real retribution. So think about this. Think about who is really here for policy and progress, and who is here for fans and money and themselves. And why, if you do, why do you think Kyle Kalinske has sold out? If you do think that, is it, again, I've said this before, is it because someone told you that? Why do you think Ryan Grimm has sold out? If you do, is it because someone told you that?
Right,
Why
because
did
bottom line, somebody who I won't even mention their name because I'm not going to give them, I'm just not feeding into these people anymore. Somebody who claims to be a journalist without even reaching out to Kyle or even doing any due diligence as a journalist to find out if Kyle was the one sending crude, I think asking this person to send naked pictures, just tweeted out the conversation accusing Kyle of this, which is just completely against any form of journalism, like the basic journalism. Even for people you know are criminals, you reach out for comment to confirm. This person didn't do that. And instead of people, and Kyle immediately responded like, I'm not even on Instagram. But people didn't even care about that. It was just that, oh no, Kyle's a sellout as of 5 minutes ago for other things. So it doesn't matter. We're just going to attack him. This is becoming like, I don't know. You ever watch Mean Girls, Jen? This is becoming Mean Girls of the progressive left. And I got to say, somebody said this is condescending. If you're a snowflake and you think it's condescending to speak reality, then bye-bye. Because I'm not going to, it's like these people who won't take the vaccine and are saying, I feel disrespected. Yeah, I feel fucking disrespected if you won't take the vaccine. Mm-hmm. Your feelings as people are dying. Oh, and my respect as over 600,000 people have died. Children who are not vaccinated, because they can't get vaccinated yet, are at risk because of these assholes who won't get vaccinated based on whatever conspiracy theory they read. And they're, oh, there's articles now coming out. No, you have to try to understand them. You have to try to show them respect, this and that. We don't have time to understand them or show them respect. COVID is surging again because of these people. And by the way, we're going to have COVID for many, many years because it is a virus that is continually mutating. So as people continue not to get vaccinated, other mutations. Well, that's why the Delta variant is taking off, because of people that have not got vaccinated. So it's condescending to tell them to get vaccinated. I'm not saying that some people haven't had effects from the vaccine. I know Jimmy did. I know others have. Speaking reality and truth triggers you, then you don't have to watch us, because there's a lot of people right now feeding you what you want to hear to cravenly get clicks. And I'm never going to sell my integrity to be in the cool club. So if you think we're condescending by speaking facts and reality and trying to take you off the ledge of cults, then don't watch. And by the way, to the people saying, I don't know Jen's conversations, but I don't know if Jimmy had COVID, so we don't want to spread a rumor that he had COVID.
No, I have no idea if Jimmy had COVID. Like, all I know is that okay. So I guess I am putting my foot in my mouth, but I don't know what Jimmy has said publicly. All I know is that I was helped as far as my long hauler effects. So I retract what I said. I was given advice personally for my long hauler effects. So I am assuming something that I should not have assumed. I was given personal help via text for my long hauler effects, and I retract what I said. Sorry.
And by the way, what I was saying is, it's not that like there's no risk in a vaccine. There's, it has been, it's kind of a misnomer that it was just done in a year, because the research for this vaccine was basically over a decade. So it's not like they didn't have any foundation to start with for this vaccine. But it's not that some people might have long-lasting effects or negative effects. I know Jimmy did. Like, that should be covered. That should be addressed. But that's different than just like basically conflating and putting fear that, not that Jimmy has done this, but that putting other people putting fear that like they're putting microchips in you and, people are dying from the vaccine and all this stuff, when there's zero evidence of any of that. So, yeah, I think we could move off the topic of like the new cult progressive movement, because I'm getting tired of it. I say to people, listen, if us disagreeing with you, no, you're wrong, ATM. Jordan, they didn't say that last year. Last year, all the experts said this virus was totally unknown. No. COVID was known before this strand of COVID. COVID is not a brand new virus. COVID was known. So research for vaccines for COVID were already worked on for a significant long time. COVID-19, this new strand, was unknown. Do I have that wrong, Jen?
Say it again.
Somebody was saying, no, this was a new virus. They didn't have research on it. COVID, the origin, was known. This new strand was new.
As far as what? I don't understand the question.
Somebody was basically countering what I said, because I said it's not like they just created this vaccine in a year. They had been researching for COVID vaccines for a significant time.
So the mRNA has been under research for 30 years. And in particular, in the last decade, very heavily. So no, it is not brand new. They took that and fast-tracked it with all of the entire world's resources and all of the best minds. So it is not like a new experimental thing. Not at all. No, it is very, very very well researched and very ready to go. Susie Potato says, why would you disclose someone else's condition? Again, I apologize. I don't think I did though. What I am saying is that I thought that I was correcting Jordan, but in what he said and what like people are also saying in the chat, but in fact I don't think I was correcting at all. I think I'm just like reiterating what Jimmy has already said publicly. All I added was that I was helped like personally via text for my long hauler condition. So I simply said all that I added publicly is that I was personally helped for my long hauler, based on what Jimmy has already said publicly. So to emphasize that, no, I'm not like disclosing. I was a little bit confused about what Jordan was saying. So no, I'm not trying to like dox anyone's health or anything like that.
No,
I was confused.
it sounds to me like you just misspoke, saying you were saying that he had symptoms from the vaccine that mirror COVID long hauler, is how I understood it.
Yeah, I was confused because yeah, so I mean, I don't think she'd mind me saying this. Like Steph had helped me. Steph and I text. We're friendly, and so she had helped me figure some stuff out with my long hauler very, very nicely. So that's all I'm saying. Yeah, Steph and I text not infrequently. So yeah, that's all I'm saying.
So to be clear, we don't know if Jimmy had COVID.
Yeah,
As
I
far
have
as
no
I know, he didn't.
idea. I don't
Yeah.
know if he did. If I misspoke, I'm sorry. I was confused because I guess I was speaking from like what I had, and so I might have assumed something that I shouldn't have. I don't know.
But we do know, I mean, he's been public that he's had effects from it. So, like, it's not that, I don't think like unvaccinated people are evil. Some of them have health conditions that make them fearful to take it. I know the black community for a long time has been very suspect on taking vaccines due to experiments that were done on them. So I'm not belittling like cases where people legitimately have concerns. What I am calling out is the people who are being selfish and the people who are basically reiterating conspiracy theories from anti-vaxxers. So like when people send me stuff from Robert Kennedy Jr., they need to know he's against all vaccines. It doesn't matter what the vaccine is, what the science is, what it's for. They are inherently in their brain against all vaccines, even though it's likely they were vaccinated as infants. When you're born, your children are supposed to get vaccinated because their immune system is weak. So to me, I mean, I'm not going to disclose anything. I've had people in my life that aren't vaccinated. I haven't heavy-handedly screamed at them, but one of my good friends isn't. And I said to him, you watch your nephew a lot. I think his nephew is like 7 or 8. So like, could you live with yourself if you had it and were asymptomatic and gave it to your nephew? Because like, yeah, of course, there might be in your head, for whatever reason, concern about your body. But it's not just your body that's in the game here. It's everybody else. So, and when I said it to him like that, he said, yeah, no, I would feel terrible. You're right. I haven't talked to him. I don't know if he got vaccinated, but like, again, I don't think it's people like, I don't think most people are consciously like, yeah, whatever. If I give it to my parents or I give it to my kids or whatever, so be it. I don't think they're thinking like that. I just don't think they're thinking about that. I don't think they're getting it because they've been misinformed by this has been politicized when it shouldn't. They're getting misinformed by a lot of right-wing crap. Anyway, anything else, Jen, on that before we wrap up?
No, I do want to say, Michael Patrick said, come to Nellie's boycott block party. Is that like Nellie, the famous journalist who is my hero? Let me know more about that on U Street, Michael, if you're around. I would like to attend if it is indeed about Nellie Bly.
And by the way, I just got notified that our interview with Matt Taibbi and Katie Halper is now up on their channel, Useful Idiots.
Nice. That was really fun. We
So
talked
definitely,
about the Flint story.
yeah. So definitely check out on Useful Idiots when we're done.
We also reacted at the end um, to Jeff Bezos's cock rocket.
Yes.
So watch for that.
So definitely check out the interview after this. Jen, I just before we wrap, I want to point out because you weren't here yet. I was saying in the beginning, like, guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm truly just like, I'm just nauseous that we have broken just a massive story of government corruption, in my view, evil, that has killed people. The story we broke, the majority of those people in the story were not charged with anything. Nobody has refuted any part of it. In fact, the health department, the Michigan Health Department, basically said, John Lancaster, I'm surprised you censor your subscribers. Who's censoring you? I told people, if you don't like what we're saying, you don't have to watch. That's censoring you?
No, we don't censor.
Are you
Why do you
talking
guys never
about,
support? Jenna says, why do you never support Latinos? We do. I went to the border last year. You never advocate for immigrants. I literally got pulled aside by a border control agent and had to lie my way out. So Jenna, we definitely do. And I want to do more on that topic. Go ahead, Jordan.
the fact that literally, like, I think people don't get it. We don't use the line like we cover the stories the corporate media covers up, like as a bumper sticker. It's because they're literally the media that's supposed to be informing people, they're covering it up. Like right now, the people of Flint, you're not going to see any protests by the people of Flint because the majority of them have not seen the story. The Flint Journal isn't covering it. The local news in Flint isn't covering it. So how are they going to organize and protest and demand either additional charges against the governor or demand answers from the current attorney general if they don't know what we broke? Again, we broke top officials in the governor's office. Their phones were erased shortly before the launch of a criminal investigation. We broke environmental department officials. Phones were allegedly dumped off to the state IT department, erased. Soon after the governor announced that Flint had toxic water, the phones are just dumped off and erased soon after that. By the way, at the same time, there's calls for a federal investigation and a state investigation. Just erased. We found that the governor's press secretary, top official in the governor's office, his press secretary, who speaks for the governor, her phone was erased when she left the government right before the launch of a criminal investigation. We found that the governor himself refused to give prosecutors key documents, key Flint water documents for 3 years. Refused. We just broke that the attorney general previously was playing politics. The attorney general, Bill Schuette, launched the investigation and he hired a special prosecutor like the Robert Mueller of Flint to investigate the water crisis. But basically, the attorney general, that special prosecutor, was supposed to have free reign and be independent from the attorney general. But the attorney general blocked him, basically. Said you cannot issue a search warrant on the governor. A search warrant meaning issue a search warrant and then execute it and just take the documents. Take the computers where the documents are. If there's physical documents, you take them. He wouldn't let it. We just broke a multi-layered government corruption on the biggest environmental calamity in the 21st century, and it's crickets across the media. So that's why I have told you all, A, we launched this to counter the corporate media. It's not easy to do that. B, don't forget to protest the corporate media in all your protests, because they're the ones, 80% of the reason, in my view, you have the corruption in this country, you have governors getting off, corporations getting off, is because the media covers it up. They either don't cover it or they barely cover it. And when they do cover it, it's watered down. This is a major scandal, the actual story. And the second scandal is that it's being ignored. I literally had the Detroit Free Press, their editor, email me back today. Thanks for sending. I'll let you know if we follow up. Yeah, I'll let you know if we follow up on, that like biggest government cover up down the street from us. Let you know if we follow up. It's just disgusting, Jen. It's really disgusting.
Did you talk about, I know you did yesterday, but the really kind, I don't know if we should mention, but like very kind, high profile support that we've gotten kind of in the background. Yeah, so there are people out there who do care, which is good to see, because there are so many who do not care and who only care about, the money that lines their pockets. And so, it's good to know that there are supporters of human rights and human lives. And that's, kind of where you guys come in as well. We appreciate all of you and all of your support, because we couldn't do this without you. We simply couldn't investigate and do the work that we do here at Status Quo without you. And we really appreciate, the Detroit Metro Times and The Intercept and Ryan Grimm and Lee. His last name's escaping me, which is horrible.
DeVito.
Lee DeVito. Lee DeVito is amazing at the Detroit Metro Times. Just simply an amazing guy. Local Michigan media is just a mess. It's simply a mess. Really shocking, honestly, how hard it is to get local stories reported there. But Lee DeVito is really a standout for sure. So we appreciate both of them for allowing us to report this story, and we have many more stories to come. This is the tip of the iceberg, and honestly, this should be it. This should be enough. This should be enough to land some justice. But there's a lot more to come, and I don't even know what to say about the lack of media attention.
It's not a lack of media attention. It's not a lack of media. It's an intentional effort to stop this news from getting out to the public. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
It's not just that they're like out to lunch, on vacation, busy with other things. They know about it, and they're choosing to bury it.
Yeah.
And that's really shameful, and in my view makes them complicit. And I will also say, I've been told Michael Moore is going to say something, but feel free to tweet at him at MM Flint, be nice, but at MM Flint. And so Jen will be live tomorrow at the Medicare for All March.
11 a.m. Eastern. And I'm very excited. So let me announce who. So this is I'm in DC. And so 11 a.m. is when it starts. But the opening speeches start at 11:45 a.m. So we'll see when I actually kind of turn it on. I might do some interviews before the opening speeches. We'll kind of see what the vibe is. But the speakers include Marianne Williamson, Reverend Annie Chambers, Paula Jean Swearingen, Lee Camp, Margaret Flowers, who ran for Senate in Maryland. You guys might be familiar with her or not. Dr. Joe Jarvis, Dr. Valerie McRae, Scott Desnoyers, who Jordan has interviewed. What is his son passed away? What's that story, Jordan?
Yeah, his son committed suicide after an insurance company canceled his insurance for not paying his $20 bill. So he couldn't get his, mental health medications. He grew severely depressed and drove his car into a river.
Just horrible. So I believe that Scott Desnoyers has collected kind of stories of folks who've had horrible kind of medical bills or stories like that of his son, and he's doing a vigil. So I hope to capture that. Laura Felding is speaking. Afeni Jeff, who I captured Afeni's speech at the it was the march and the rally in front of the police union a few months ago, and you guys loved her. So Afeni's going to be speaking as well. Jinter, Cheryl, Van Epps, and DJ Joe Nice. So you also loved Joe. So definitely tune in. emceed by Savage Joy Marie, who is, I believe she's partially or maybe even mostly blind. And she's been really organizing a lot of this. There's music. So they're going to be marching. It's going to be a really big event. So really looking forward to it. As I said, Medicare for All for me is personally my big policy issue, the thing I most hope happens in this country. So yeah, tune in, set your alarm, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Absolutely. And,
thank you, Fly Chomper Fly, $5 in the super chat. Why would anyone want a neolib over Nina regarding Medicare for All? Jenna's right. The more people who see how popular it is, the more they will buy into it. Thank you, Fly Chomper Fly.
Well, I think people need to just answer a basic common sense question, even the people that are ranting. Do you think getting Medicare for All, eventually getting it, you think you're better off with Nina Turner outside Congress or inside Congress to get Medicare for All? It's a very simple question. And if your answer is outside Congress, then I don't know how to debate someone who's just not living in reality. If you really think having somebody who's running on Medicare for All in a district that traditionally has not been for those policies, who was winning, had a big lead running for it, who is running campaign ads, not hedging, but specifically on Medicare for All, and you think because she's not coming to your rally or she's rallying with AOC, and you think we're better off having the corporate Democratic establishment hack, Shontel Brown, then I don't know what to tell you. I just think that's not a lesser of two evils situation at all. Shontel Brown is the evil.
Yeah.
Colin put in the super chats.
Thank you. That's good. I don't know where you left off. Probably.
I think I know.
Okay.
Colin, $2 tip. I appreciate your evidence-based journalism. I am always curious as to how we boycott weapons manufacturers when we average citizens are not their consumers. If we take away their toys, we cripple the military-industrial complex. IMAT. I know what the MIC is. I don't know what IMAT is, but thank you. Nick Santi, $9.99. People overall are frustrated of everything. We're all just being brainwashed and it's difficult to distinguish truth or false. You guys do great work. Keep it going. I think that's an honest statement because trust me, we're frustrated. We're the ones on the road covering all this misery and corruption, and then we can't get the media to pick it up. We can't even get most independent media to give a damn. So trust me, we're frustrated. But I don't think the answer to being frustrated, rightfully so, is to just say, burn it all down and let's cancel everyone who's not as angry as us. If you think that's going to get you anywhere, then good luck. And thanks for the super chat. Colin, Brian, $4.99. I'm so grateful for you speaking the truth. The harder the truth to tell, the truer the friend that tells it. Oh, I've never heard that. Thank you. Lord MG, $5. Majority of public supports progressive policies, but the Dem base values managerial competence and doesn't view the party as corrupt. Yes and no. Yes and no. Because I think this election was a little different than most because the corporate media literally brainwashed over and over and over and over again that Biden was the only one who could take back the Trump states, and Biden was the only one. So I don't think it was about managerial competence. I think they were fooled into thinking this man, who, by the way, barely beat Trump, was the only chance. I actually think at one point in the campaign, 2020 primary, Bernie was actually closing the numbers among older voters. I think people forget that. Bernie was shrinking the numbers against Biden and taking a lot of his older voters based on the smart campaigning of going after Biden for being against Social Security for many, many years and speaking on the Senate floor about Social Security freeze, all those things. So people are forgetting it's not older voters, not all, because there's plenty of progressives, but the ones that watch MSNBC, CNN, read the Times, they are brainwashed. They've been brainwashed that we can't achieve anything big, that we have to accept small crumbs. But there's also a lot of them that are open to another message. And I think people were open to Bernie. I said at the beginning of the campaign in 2020, Bernie's not going to win if he doesn't pick off 7 to 10% of Hillary Clinton's voters. And he didn't, in part because he never tweaked his message at all. Not tweaked his policies, but tweaked his message. I think I said it on one show. He should have been during those debates pointing at Joe Biden and saying, Joe, you know what's radical? That 500,000 people are sleeping on the streets in the wealthiest country on earth. That's radical. You know what's radical? That seniors who enjoy Medicare and should have Medicare, they have Medicare, but their children and their grandchildren don't. That's radical. That they are protected, but their children or grandchildren can die because they don't have the same access that their grandparents have. That's radical. You know what else is radical? That police are executing black men all over the country, but the Democratic Party hasn't done a damn thing about it.
Yeah.
The rest of the world looks at America and says, why is it so violent? What is going on there? You know what's radical, Joe? That we underfund schools, underfund healthcare, underfund climate proposals, because people like you push and vote for insane military budgets that are immoral. That's radical. And other countries think all of these things are radical because their system has the basic safeguards for their citizens. If he would have ran that campaign, I think he would have won. If he would have said to older voters, I think Kyle Kalinske made this point. Wait a minute. We're saying this person is the only one that could beat Trump? We've already done this dance. It was said that Hillary Clinton was the only one who could beat Trump. That I was too radical and she was the pragmatic choice. She lost. Everybody could have their theories about why she lost. She lost against a candidate who had the highest unfavorable ratings of any presidential candidate in history. She lost to him. So you want to run the male version, the same policies, the same message? No economic message here. He would not say those things because politically he was weak. He was weak. I said it at the time. I said it in real time. Mm-hmm. So sorry, I'm being long-winded. This notion that they just want managerial competence, no. The progressive candidate that had a chance screwed it up both times. The media certainly didn't help. Obama getting everybody to drop out didn't help. He was not willing to go for the jugular, and that's why he lost. Sorry. Cheryl, $10. Status Quo is one of the few and my favorite shows that doesn't name call and bash Bernie. You critique, but that doesn't mean vile name calling. I know it's a foreign concept to have a little nuance on the internet and criticize the politicians' actions without canceling them as Lucifer. But I appreciate, Cheryl, for you appreciating that. Junie, $5. If you go search Earth on everybody, if you go scorched earth on everybody, then you will alienate potential allies who may agree with you on policy but don't care for your noise. Yep.
Well, first, I do want to address the Bernie thing. Yeah. So I'm an admitted Bernie supporter, but politicians are not our friends. You have to be willing to call politicians out when they do things that are wrong. You can't just worship politicians or anyone without being willing to call folks out. So I think that's super, super important.
Absolutely.
I also want to address, this is not a super chat, but just a girl says, I'm a subscriber and member, and I'm telling you that your moderators are censoring. To that, I want to point out that YouTube automatically censors. So that is very possible. YouTube holds certain things depending on language used or whatever. So quite often it doesn't even make sense. Sometimes YouTube just holds stuff. So it's probably not our moderators. So I just want to make that point.
April Shadows, PJ Max. I understand the urge to vent. When I start to vent, I can't stop. But venting online doesn't change anything. I agree. And by the way, what we're describing isn't venting. If it was venting, that would be fine because people vent and then they stop venting. This isn't venting. This is literally essentially trying to eliminate 75% of the progressive movement because they're not feeding you what you want to hear 100% of the time, or they're not agreeing with you on all things, or, you know, or they're not as scorched earth as you are. Like, would you do that to your friends or your family if, like, you had a disagreement about something? Or you were on a different page? Now, I'm not saying AOC or Bernie is our family or our friends or anything like that. But, like, I'd like to hear from these people, what is the pathway to achieving the things you want to achieve with this playbook? With canceling Kyle Kalinske, with canceling, like, a lot of people have canceled Mike from the Humanist Report, who's like the nicest guy in the world.
What? I haven't heard that.
A lot of people canceling David Dole, the Rational National, all people they used to love. Now, you don't have to watch anybody. You don't have to watch us. But if your standard,
no, you do.
If the standard in your mind, I mean, we've had people literally email us, I'm canceling our membership because you don't, I don't remember what it was. It was just like we said something that they didn't like. I said, okay, well, the people of Flint, thank you. And the people of Minnesota, where I want to go soon, thank you for defunding the reporting on them in the field because we didn't feed you what you want 100% of the time. This is for a long time been the mentality of the Fox News viewer and the Rush Limbaugh listener, that if you're at a lockstep at all, that this is why Fox has been a dominant force, not just in media, but politics.
Well, that happened during the election when Fox, for fear of litigation, wouldn't report on the election fraud stuff.
Yeah, they lost people.
The false election fraud stuff. People, OAN and Newsmax started getting more viewers because they wouldn't report the lies, the conspiracies. And so people started flocking to Newsmax and stuff. So yeah, that's the same mindset.
Yeah. And by the way, the only reason Fox anchors starting this week started a huge about face and urging their viewers to go get vaccinated is because Fox is making a calculus. Well, we don't want our audience to die. That's not good for business. Seriously. Like, legitimately, that's what's being reported. That executives started saying we need to tell these people to get vaccinated because the biggest states.
And they're all vaccinated. They've been all vaccinated.
Yeah, all the hosts are vaccinated who are pushing this anti-vax. But the states with the biggest cases and hospitalizations are mostly red states. I'm not trying to be political, but that's just the data. Go look at it. So,
yeah.
April, $5. Status quo, please ignore the trolls. Learn to spot those who seek to divide and speak past them, not to them.
Yeah,
yes and no. Yes,
it's hard.
Yes and no, April. Yes and no. I do try to ignore trolls, but I genuinely, as somebody who cares about these policies actually getting done, I genuinely feel the urge to try and take people away from that ledge into nihilism and cultism. So that's why we've been having this conversation quite a few times, because it's not that we look down on these people or are angry at these people. We don't want them to fall into the abyss that's self-sabotaging the progressive movement.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, and I'll piggyback on that, which is a phrase I hate, so I don't know why I say that. But I spend a lot of time looking into. I spend a lot of time reading, conspiracy theory forums and subreddits, and I spend a lot of time reading like the latest progressive, kerfuffles, because I want to know what's going on. I want to have my finger on the pulse of what's going on. I'm also, I was a psychology major, and I've always had a fascination with what makes people tick. I want to know what's happening. I want to know what's behind people in general. So just like Jordan says, I feel the need to kind of, this is going to come out wrong, but like save people from this. So when I see, a lot of people falling into a trap, I want to kind of put out the right information to warn as many people as possible, I guess. I don't know if that it makes sense or not, but that's the truth. So
absolutely. Let's keep going here. Just a girl, $9.99. Maybe people are tired of being lied to. This time we're seeing a true Dem exit. This is what happens when you screw people over for a century. I support the march, though. I don't give a fuck who shows up. Just a girl. To be clear, I don't give a shit if people leave the Democratic Party. I don't think Jen does either. I don't care. If people want to leave the Democratic Party, have at it.
I'm registered for some like screwball party. Like, I'm not a registered Democrat right now.
Like, we covered the MPP convention. Frankly, I think there's a lot of questions about MPP. I'm being honest. I think there's a lot of questions about MPP, but if people ask
For example, Nina literally could not have run as an MPP candidate. She literally could not have. So those who are saying, why didn't Nina run as an MPP candidate? She literally could not have. So,
right.
There you go.
But if you even ask questions about MPP, you're deemed as like a Democratic stooge, as in, where are the candidates? What is the progress on getting on ballots? Where is the money going towards? I'm not alleging fraud, but like, where is the donation money going towards? How is it being spent? But we covered the convention. So this isn't about like propping up the Dem party. I want to either, whatever does it faster, either over a hostile takeover or a third party. Now, some people think it's naive to think a hostile takeover, and that is propping up the Dem party if you're not for Dem exit. Well, I don't know. If I'm looking at a race in Ohio's 11th district, and not only can Nina Turner technically not run as an MPP candidate, but let's say you would say, fine, then she should run as the Green Party candidate. So you'd rather her run as an independent and lose, which she 100% would lose as a Green Party candidate in that district. I think Bernie could have won as a Green Party candidate in 2016. I really do. But
And I don't.
Okay, Nina Turner would have lost. She would have lost. She would lose now if she was running third party. Because first of all, the attacks on her from the Democratic establishment, if you think they're bad now, wait if she ran as a Green Party candidate. Secondly, she would get no media coverage as a Green Party candidate. At least she's getting some in that local area. Third of all, the Cleveland-Akron area is an establishment Democrat town and district. So, like, I know the argument is, well, somebody's got to do it first. Okay, but like, do you want her to win or do you want to be your trailblazer for a loss for the Green Party? Because you can't have both. Eddie, $5. Guys, thanks so much for the excellent report you've been doing so far. It's very difficult to find actual news that has nothing fake propaganda only. It is very difficult.
Eddie. Thank you.
And it's very difficult to get the fake propaganda, corporate media, to cover your news.
We've been spending literally, I don't even know how many hours a day since the story came out, trying to get other news outlets to cover this.
Yep. Thomas, $5. Would you ever go on Tim Pool's show to report on this story?
Oh,
Yes.
Lordy. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, I guess to get the story out. But
listen, if Fox News
fuck Tim Pool, but if he'll talk about Flint, sure.
if Fox News would have been the only one to publish it, I would have done it. Honestly, it's not about where it's. I mean, I wouldn't do it in like, I don't know, OAN. I think Fox is a little less crazy than that. But frankly, if Fox covered it, it would have been picked up elsewhere, and that's the bottom line. That's the important thing. Fly Chomper Fly, $5. Why would anyone want a neolib?
I mean, I'll say, like, to that, I will say, like, because I've literally been worried about this coming out, so I'll just come out and say it. Like, I've literally, for past stories, I've literally DM'd Jack Posobiec and Cernovich to retweet our Flint stories because I simply wanted the stories to get out. I didn't do so this time, but I wanted the retweets. And do I regret it? No, not really, because it did get retweets and their people, their followers did seem to care. So, okay, sure. Yeah. They're bad people, but yeah.
Absolutely. So, and by the way, if I went on Tim Pool's show, it's not like I would shrink like a little violet. I honestly don't watch Tim Pool. I don't know what the controversies are. I know he's kind of alt-right, but if something came up that he was saying that I didn't agree with, trust me, we're not shrinking violets here. Fly Chomper Fly, $5. Why would anyone want a neolib over Nina regarding Medicare for All? Jen is right. The more people who see how popular it is, the more they will buy into it.
Yes, absolutely. And Bernie moved the Overton window enormously, and I will always appreciate him for that. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And by the way, like, this notion that because the squad has folded like a tent and disappointed you, that she's just going to do the same thing. Like, people are individuals, you know. She's also older than most of the core squad members. I think she's 53. So in my experience, she's not as politically naive as they are. I don't know. I mean, I just look at actions. If she does this, we'll cover it. We'll criticize. It doesn't seem to me like Nina Turner is interested in going to Congress to like go along with incrementalism. It just doesn't seem like she's that person. So we'll see. Adam Cohen, $5. Whoever accused status quo of being censors, it's just wrong. In these times of true censorship, that's not a word that should be just flung around.
I agree, Adam. Yeah.
Fly Chomper Fly, $5. Do you guys want coverage from, I think that's Chicago. Yeah, we do.
If you, yeah. So I'll be live from DC. We are always open to freelancers sending us or pitching us content. So if you want to send us video that you shoot, we would then look at it and happily pay you for it if it's something that we, accept, and then we would post it.
Yeah.
Amberly Grago. Special shout out to Joy Marie Mann, aka Savage Joy, for working so hard on the Medicare for All March. She has been an angel. That's awesome. Yeah, so she'll be the MC at the march I'm at, the DC March. Very cool. Thank you, Amberly.
Fly Chomper Fly, $5. We will be in Chicago with video and progressive candidate who's for Medicare for All. June aid for Congress with Schaumburg area progressives. He's ready to fight. Cool. Yeah.
Very
if
cool.
you get good video, send it to us. Just a girl, $4.99. I'm a sub and member, and your comments won't want me to exit. LOL.
Well, I mean, people can disagree. I mean, I recognize your name from far back, so people can disagree. Like it's okay for you and I, and for you and Jordan, and for all of us to have differences of opinion. And I think that is so important. Discourse is so important. And for us to make any progress at all, it has to be okay for us to disagree.
And by the way, we're not telling you to leave. I'm telling,
No, never.
I'm responding like people like, you sound like Jank. First of all, that's insulting and ridiculous. But secondly, then you don't have to watch. I hope you watch, but if there's a lot of people out there that are very much like, if a host that they've been watching or a channel they've been hosting starts straying from like their views, immediately canceled. And I just don't. That's cults. That's not information, and that's not even progressive. Actually, the progressive movement's supposed to be kind of inclusive, not like identity politics, but like inclusive. It's supposed to be about debate too. So we're not telling you to leave at all. We're just telling people, like somebody said, you're being condescending. No, I'm giving you my honest opinion. It's reality. And if that's condescending to you, then I think you're being a bit of a snowflake. I'm sorry. So, Amanda, $2. Thank you for everyone at Status Quo. Thank you.
Thank you.
PH at ManTV, $5. Jordan, it means our institutions that are supposedly serving U.S. are actually at war with its citizens, especially people of color. Hence, hashtag Cold Civil War continued. Don't know what the Cold Civil War is. I'm not for a civil war of any kind, but I am for economic boycotts.
I wonder if that means... I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm not for violence or anything like that.
No, I don't think that person is advocating that. I think
he might be not. He might not be, but the Civil War is obviously was very violent.
Yeah, but I think that they're saying that is happening. Like whatever that means is happening. Like,
maybe like it's not a violent war, but like there's a Cold War going on.
Yeah, like yeah, like it's happening without our consent. Yeah.
But I also think what people are forgetting, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, like the Democratic establishment, they love it if all we're doing is fighting each other. Mm-hmm. That's a gift. It's a gift to Biden too. Mm-hmm. It's a gift to the donors too. If all we're doing is spending months and months on YouTube and on Twitter, just circular firing squad amongst each other, that's a gift to the establishment.
So in the so-called hippie days, this is a fact. The spooks literally infiltrated leftist groups to divide them, and so that progress would not be made. So is it a stretch that spooks, aka letter agencies, are infiltrating leftist groups today? Think about that. And how would they do so? They would do so probably online. Just saying.
Just saying, kind of saying. 222. What BS 499? What are your thoughts on product shaming? As in, I don't buy from Amazon, Lay's, etc., and have no problem explaining why to friends that do. I'm for it.
Well, I mean, so I would say I would not shame someone who buys from Amazon. Like, I would say, like, this is hard because there are so many reasons to. Because yes, for a family, for example, who is struggling, it is dramatically less expensive to buy like a book you might need to like figure out something for your kid, or like a book you need for your kid, or a textbook you need for college. It is dramatically, in some cases, tens of dollars less to buy it from Amazon than it is to buy it from Barnes & Noble or your local bookshop. So for the average person who doesn't have a lot of money, to shame them for that, it's not their fault that Amazon is evil. And in the end, a lot of the websites that you use, so while you're shaming your friend, a lot of the websites that you use are run on Amazon servers. And while it's not yet the case that Amazon's AWS servers are the bulk of their income. They are like one of the most sustainable forms of their income. So until you're like literally not using any websites that use AWS servers, you can't truly shame them. So I think there are better ways than like shaming your friends for ordering something that's less expensive on Amazon.
Yes and no. I do agree with you for the cases of just they don't have the choice. They're on a fixed income, paycheck to paycheck. And they just have to, they could only afford X and Amazon might be the cheapest or what have you. That's one thing. But if you are the upper middle class, limousine liberal wine mom, I think before shame, you educate. You say, are you aware that their workers are fainting at work and being carted off on stretchers? Are you aware that they are literally refusing to call ambulances for workers that have been hurt? Are you aware that they are working 13 hours a day without air conditioning? Are you aware that if they go to the bathroom to pee, they are docked? Are you aware of any of this? You might, believe it or not, you might actually get a lot of your friends might say, no, why? You sure about that? I've never heard of that. And
I definitely agree with that. Like if
they probably haven't heard of it because the media barely covers it. If they then decide to continue, then I think a little shaming can go a long way. I'm for it, but I wouldn't do
I
it to this.
agree.
I wouldn't do it to the single mother, like barely hanging on. Like, there's realities.
No, yeah. So I completely, yeah. So I agree with that. I agree with like the like educating on what's actually happening, but the reality is, for a person who is buying textbooks or buying certain food items or whatever, I'm not talking about like buying like some stupid stuff, like whatever is not needed. I think it has to be weighed as far as like what you're talking about, if it's something stupid. So I guess I would say be careful of like who you're doing it to.
Right.
Because there is a reason that Amazon is able to dramatically cut their prices and their shipping because of who they are. And therefore, low income people are able to use Amazon to their, for a reason. So it's not the low income person's fault that Amazon is like the best option in a lot of cases. So
Absolutely. Harry, $5. Rick Sanchez reported on these new Flint scandals last night on RT. Call them so they could interview you and get all the details. I thank Rick Sanchez. I'm actually going on RT next week for America's Lawyer, I think is the show, with Mike Papantonio. He's apparently America's Lawyer. But yeah, they asked me to come on, so I'm going on next week. But isn't it something that the evil Russian boogeyman RT is covering this when American media won't? Amberly, $10. Nina said it isn't radical, it's right on time. It's time to wash away neoliberal brainwashing that keeps us all collectively trapped in money myths, the debt ceiling, pay-go. It's time for fiscal sanity. She did say that. And again, she's running television ads for Medicare for all. That's not good enough, apparently. Tony, $5. You guys are awesome. Keep going. I would be wary about online commentary. Bots pollute the digital discourse.
You're absolutely right. AstroTurfing is real. AstroTurfing is, we learned that from the David Brock stuff in 2016. David Brock famously with the Hillary bots. We learned a lot from that, I would hope. So, yeah. That's a fantastic point, Tony. Thank you.
Yes. Thomas, $5. Do you think cancel culture is a byproduct of the average person's inability to influence policy outcome? Yes. Yes. I also think it's a byproduct of what I talked about earlier, which is people's understandable disappointment, anger, frustration. Listen, when you're writing a revolution, right? People really felt there's a revolution going on. I mean, I felt it covering Bernie's campaigns. And when you're at that high and then it all comes crashing down and you think the people you were marching for the revolution are less revolutionary or, not doing what you thought they would do, yeah, it's definitely easy to fall into just rage, cancel everybody, they're all frauds.
Yeah.
So, like we've said, it's not that it's not understandable. We're not trying to condescend to you if you feel that way. We're just trying to tell you, I think what you think or what you've been kind of manipulated into thinking, that canceling everybody rather than criticize them, pressure them, but just like mass cancellation, every politician, or like coming up with catchy names like Fraud Squad, canceling Kyle Kalinske. Like, really, you have to think in your mind, what is
That's
the
so
playbook?
crazy to me. Like, Kyle's fine. What is it's crazy.
Like, you have to think in your mind, if this is the way to go, like, show it to me. What's the road to getting Medicare for all this way? What's the road to getting pretty much anything this way? Because I know there's this myth, you have to make them fear you. The way to make them fear you is an economic boycott. It's not complicated, folks. The only thing politicians respond to is economic pressure and pressure against their donors. It's not people ranting on the internet. I'm sorry. I rant sometimes. They don't give a shit. If Amazon lost money, you better fucking believe there might be some policy changes, lickety split, to stop the bleeding. And those policy changes would come because Amazon tells them to. If the banks lost customers and money, there's been some successful divestment campaigns. A lot of it hatched off of the Standing Rock movement. If there was more of that and people started going to our business is in a credit union. We don't use a corporate bank. You better believe a lot of those donors, Chuck Schumer, Mr. Wall Street, he might be hearing from Wall Street. You got to stop. You got to do something here. Give them something. So I think people are being, I don't want to say hoodwinked, but kind of like persuaded into thinking that ranting, raving, and canceling equals make them fear you. That math equation is false. Ranting, raving, canceling does not make them fear you. It makes them ignore you. That's the truth. It's giving them ammunition to basically discredit you and just call you a bunch of kooks and divisive people. It's not smart organizing at all. And again, I was for forced to vote. I just think it could have been done a lot more strategically, a lot smarter. I really do. Amber Lee, Grigo, $5. Super proud to see status quo embrace MMT and fiscal sanity via Grumbine and RP. There is no solution without getting the economics right. Couldn't agree more. I'm a big Steve Grumbine fan. We're happy to have him on.
Steve is so nice. Like, I think he's such a genuine person. There are so few around. He's great.
Just a girl, $4.99. I just posted the censorship on Twitter. See for yourselves.
Oh, great. Just a girl. I mean, come on, man. Come on, girl.
Why don't you, you could email us what you're talking about. Like, we're doing a live show, so we can't monitor every comment or every comment that's deleted. It's just not possible to do both. You could email us what you're talking about, info@statusquo.com. Henry, $5. Using the term Overton window incorrectly needs to be called out. You're
talking about Bernie moving the Overton window on Medicare for all. That's the correct usage. He did.
And by the way, the Democratic Party agreeing to a $3.5 trillion bill, the reconciliation bill, it's not everything we want, but it's the largest spending package since the New Deal. That's true. Look it up. That's moving the Overton window into action. And by the way, I got qualms with AOC, but part of the reason Chuck Schumer is doing any of this is to avoid a primary challenge from AOC. So she might not be ranting and raving publicly against him, but she has not ruled out running against him. And he doesn't want that. So that's why he signed on to some of these things that he normally wouldn't. For the just a girl comment, she was just put in timeout by Ahmad, probably legitimate based on her comments, but I don't know. All right, I can't get involved.
Well, just a girl. I mean, we've seen you around for a long time. I have no idea what happened. I apologize if something untoward happened. Email us at info@statusquo.com. Or you can personally email me at Jen Elizabeth. So that's JENN. I can never spell things like out loud. So JENNELIZA. But I don't know. Spell Elizabeth. At statusquo.com, and I will take care of anything if something untoward happened. I apologize if so. But yeah, we've definitely seen you around as a longtime viewer, and I apologize if so. I talk a lot, $5 in the super chat. Or no, in the not super chat, in the Twitch chat. Why don't you love us in the Twitch chat? We do love you in the Twitch chat. We definitely do. It's just a matter of we don't get as many comments in the Twitch chat, so we don't bring it up as much, but we do appreciate you for sure. We love Twitch.
By the way, I just want to point out, I just found the quote that somebody said Nina Turner said in the Washington Post. Again, I'm not criticizing that person, but Nina Turner didn't say she's like against Medicare for all because their voters don't want it. That's not at all what she said. Again, like, and I don't think this person means any ill will. Colin, let me send you this so we could put it up on the screen. So, Washington Post article. Other Democrats have ignored the rallies to organizers' dismay. Ohio congressional candidate Nina Turner, the co-chair of Sanders' 2020 campaign, will be campaigning alongside Ocasio-Cortez on Saturday. I just lost it. Will be campaigning against Ocasio-Cortez on Saturday. She will not be attending the closest rally in Columbus, a 2-hour drive from the district. So again, that's a 5-hour commitment a week before the election. While Turner is running on Medicare for all, she said in an interview last week that voters were more interested in what the government could deliver on than on projects that might not have the votes to pass right now. So, like, that's not saying I'm against Medicare for all. I'm not going to fight for Medicare for all. She was saying the voters she's speaking to right now are more interested in, like, immediate results, immediate anything, than projects that might not have the votes to pass right now. But she's not saying, that comment is not saying she would not try to get a floor vote on it, even if it wouldn't pass right now. And it's not saying she's against Medicare for all. So again, I think you're reading things that might not be there. I mean, is it Nina Turner saying, I would go to the rally, but I just can't fit it into my schedule because, or like, I support the rally? No, we already talked about that. If she said that, in 5 minutes later, there's going to be a rally, there's going to be a TV ad and corporate media attacks that she supports neo-Nazis. Because they did invite a Nazi to speak at the rally. I'm sorry, that's just the truth.
Yeah. Yep.
So like, people aren't thinking about like winning. They're not thinking about achieving anything. They're just only focused on words and a rally, and they're not focused on reality. If she did the things you want her to do, she would lose. That doesn't mean she's a bad person for trying to do whatever she has to do to win. Yeah. I wish Bernie would have done whatever he had to do to win.
Yeah.
The main complaint among progressives is he chickened out and he didn't go for the jugular and he was weak and all these things. Well, she's doing the opposite. She's playing this strategically smart to win. So if she's not saying what you want her to say, or she's kind of hedging. It's to win in an establishment Democrat district. Now, if she was running for Senate statewide, it might be a little different. If she was running for president, I know it would be a lot different. But it just seems like people are losing the forest for the trees here. And I said it right that time. So she literally said, while Turner is running on Medicare for all, so she's running on Medicare for all, she said in an interview last week that voters were more interested in what the government could deliver on than on projects that might not have the votes to pass right now. The voters in her district, that's true. So she's speaking to the voters in her district. That doesn't mean when in Congress, she wouldn't fight for things that she thinks need to be fought for. I don't know. It just seems like people are losing perspective. Talk a lot, $5. Why don't you love us in the Twitch chat? Oh, we do love you in the Twitch chat. It's just so hard to go between YouTube and Twitch, and we're on Rockfin too. We do love you on the Twitch. And by the way, I will be one day. I still haven't set it up. We got a Nintendo Switch so that we could play video games with you guys. We'll talk politics and play video games on Twitch.
And I have a Switch too. So my plan is to very dramatically beat Jordan at Mario Kart.
Right. But we got a lot of love for you on Twitch. So I'm sorry if you feel.
And he says Mario, which is clearly Mario.
Yeah, it's Mario.
He even says, like, it's a me, Mario. He doesn't say it's a me, Mario. No, he doesn't.
PH and Man TV, $5. Because
tell everybody in the chat that I'm right. Thanks.
Okay. Because they may not be shooting at us with guns, but they are trying to kill us by the corruption, lack of quality services, and justice, essentially. I agree. That's why we need an economic boycott. How, specifically? Glad you asked, BS. Thanks for the $1.99. First of all, you can't have an economic boycott without mutual aid. They go hand in hand. So part of the thing is these coal miners striking down in the South, the Frito-Lay workers striking. There is a mutual aid pot going in to money so that they could, they're not going to make their entire salaries or hourly rates for not working, but at least they'll get something to kind of tread water and feed their families while they're striking. It's the same concept for an economic boycott. So if you're boycotting Amazon, you don't want the workers to suffer. So you put in a pot. It might not be big enough for all workers, but you put in a pot so that they have some money coming to them. It's the same principle, corporate banks. You don't want the workers to suffer. Walmart, the workers, these are all working poor people for the most part, and a lot of these things you would be boycotting. The second thing is, you can't just start with a general strike nationally. It's not reality. You have to start with specific boycotts. So we've had boycotts of Amazon for a day, like the first of the month. That's symbolic. It's not effective. You got to try and organize across the board, across states, a boycott of one company. Start with that. Part of that boycott is not only withholding your money, but giving that money to the workers. So a mutual aid pot, so that those workers could feel comfortable joining you and telling their stories. Workers live in fear at Amazon because they need to feed their families, and there's not a lot of other opportunities. I know, because I've talked to the workers that are deathly afraid and will not go on the record. But the shit they tell me would blow your fucking mind. I just can't report it because it's off the record. So that's step one. And if it's like lightning fire. If you succeed or have any success in one, then it spreads. And then you could start setting your sights on an organized economic boycott. And the beauty is you don't really need politicians. But I would say, whether it's the Sunrise Movement, Medicare for all people, at this point, it doesn't seem like Justice Democrats is really doing much. But there's a lot of groups out there. If they come together, sure, each group has their own objective, climate change, Medicare for all. But if they all come together and say, we got to start joining our wallets with our feet, that's powerful. And that if you start boycotting, not just refusing to spend the money, but physically protesting these places while you're not spending the money, that's powerful. The media might not even be able to ignore it. So that's how you start an economic boycott.
Absolutely. The chat agrees with me. It is Mario, KB, and they're also very excited about the future of status quo gaming.
I told you to set it up because I don't know how to, and you didn't do it.
It's very easy. Colin can do it though when he gets there.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
KB says, I think you misread my comment. Even Kyle Kalinske is fraud now. I said that jokingly. People are saying he is a fraud now, which is insane. Oh, sorry for misreading. Absolutely agree with you for sure.
Thank you. We atone for our sin.
We do. Cosmic Top Secret. Thanks for doing real journalism. $5 in the super chat. Thank you. We appreciate that. It does mean a lot because it's been a real journey getting the Flint story out. Fly Chumper Fly, $5 in the super chat. I believe this is a correction. The March for Medicare for All group didn't invite a neo-Nazi. The fake group asked to join and supplied a speaker. No one noticed. Okay, so yeah. Okay. I don't consider this a correction because so what happened was a supposed group from Muncie submitted a neo-Nazi keynote speaker, and the actual main account posted this neo-Nazi speaker, made an official graphic for it, etc. So in my opinion, and this is my opinion, I don't care that the official group didn't invite this person officially. They officially posted a neo-Nazi and promoted him from their official account and did not notice as such. So that is a huge screw up. And that combined with the new Black Panther Party, it's too much. It's too much. I don't like it. It's too much for me. You can disagree.
Well, it's also very simple. If you, whatever, maybe somebody tweeted it or it didn't go up the flagpole and maybe you didn't know this person's history and it got out, you just, you say, we were not aware of this person's history. It was just a miscommunication and we've disinvited him. And that's it. People might criticize you, but at least, Well,
so to be fair, they did correct that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so they did correct that one.
Good.
So yes, but that, in my opinion, is a bridge, a thousand bridges too far. That should have never. That doesn't. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me that they should have known they didn't have a march in that area. For one thing, they should have known they didn't have a Muncie march. For another thing, they should not have made an official graphic for a neo-Nazi in a march they didn't have at all. So there's a lot happening in general.
I think as we said at the beginning, honestly, I'm not particularly interested. I don't think Jen is either. Whoever organized the march, whoever's speaking, point is Medicare for all.
Yeah.
That's why we're covering it.
The focus is Medicare for all, and the people who earnestly believe in Medicare for all. And my focus, my whole heart, and has been, and I have to say, Bernie Sanders, and I think this is probably true for a lot of people, Bernie Sanders moved my heart to Medicare for all, and that has been my number one, that's my thing, is Medicare for all. And so I think that's a lot of people's earnest focus tomorrow. So that is what that's what people are showing up for tomorrow, and that is what is going, the speakers tomorrow: Marianne Williamson, Joe Nice, Afeni, all the speakers that I mentioned. 11 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to be there. We're going to be covering this. It doesn't, this, I can have issues with I take issue with the anti-Semitism, the neo-Nazi stuff. That I think is fair. But the focus is policy. The focus is Medicare for all. So.
Absolutely. And let's get to the end of it here.
Just a girl, $4.99. I just deleted my post per your request, and I'll email you. Thank you. But please know that censorship is not okay. That's why we need directions on shampoo. Well, thank you, and I will look for your email for sure.
I also think just a girl, no offense, like we have volunteer moderators, so it's subject to like human opinion too. Like we have advised like these are the things like racism, anti-Semitism that should go, but we cannot be looking at every single example. I see comments that are deleted out of the corner of my eye that are just people cursing, which is I think what Jen said is YouTube doing it, not our moderators. But like occasionally our moderators will delete something or censor something that maybe if it was me, I wouldn't have. That's not like you're being censored by status quo. It's just a moderator. And maybe the moderator is deleting something that I think should be deleted. So we're not like here to censor everybody, but I also think like, you can't like it's subject to like it happens in every chat. A lot of chats have moderators. Some of them delete comments or whatever. So we're not censoring you, just to be clear. Peace Walker, $5. Hey, you got the Switch. Good choice, Jordan. And Jen is right. It's Mario, not Mario. It's 100% Mario. Sorry.
Mario literally says it's
Go talk to anyone from New York. Go talk to anyone from New York,
No.
New Jersey, or anybody else up
No,
here.
it's just people from
Mario.
Long Island.
Carrie, $25. Agreed, Jordan. I agree with you, whatever you're agreeing with me for. Fly Chomper Fly, $5. Are you going to be in Cleveland? When? Yes, at the end of next week. We're going to be there for several days before the election. We'll be there. Kate, $5. Senator Markey video on the Civilian Climate Corps is getting ratioed on the Hill. Please. They're upset at the Civilian Climate Corps, which is one of the climate movement's main demands. You can't win with people these days. Thomas, $10. Are you worried that the state will unleash massive levels of violence on strikers and label them domestic terrorists?
Yes.
I support general strikes, but I know strikers often die as a result. It depends how big it depends how big your movement is, right? So first of all, I mean, economic boycotts, they're digital, they're individual. Like they can't come to everybody's home and force you to spend money, right? So on that level, I mean, what is the government going to come into your home, drag you out, and make you click add to my cart on Amazon? For the strikers, your history has proven you right. But we live in a different era now than, the coal strikes where the Pinkerton group was used to come in and kill people. I think that was in Colorado. I don't think that the government could get away with that in this case, particularly how many companies are striking. I do think the Squad, Bernie, people would speak up if those kind of things were happening. So I'm not super concerned about that. No, I'm not. I just read that. Did I miss any others? Thank you guys so much for all the super chats. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We all are giving you a weekend assignment. A weekend assignment. It's not tough. We need every person watching. I mean, every person. We need you to share our story if you haven't. It's at the top of my Twitter at Jordan Sheridan.
Or you can statusquo.pub/. Flint water cover up. And you have to capitalize, the F, the W, the C, the U. statusquo.pub/Flint water cover up.
Secondly, get the number to your local media outlet. I don't care if it's CBS, ABC, NBC. Flood their lines. They have workers on Saturday. Flood their lines. Go online, your local Fox, your local CBS, your local ABC, your local PBS. Call them and keep calling them. If you look on the website, under there's either departments or staff or contact, there's usually a phone line for the multiple departments. Flood them. Why aren't you covering this Flint bombshell? Why are you covering this up?
And not only your local ones, but the Michigan ones.
Yes, Detroit Free Press, Detroit News, and the Flint Journal. Detroit Free Press, Detroit News, and the Flint Journal. Email, call. I know it's a lot to ask, but if this comes in bulk.
And we quote, "This is interesting, but no plans to cover."
Right. Because I have had instances when I've been out on stories. I remember a low-income housing unit was wrongfully being evicted, and they got a 10-day notice. And I gave my number, my viewers at TYT at that time, the number to the housing authority and the mayor. They flooded the lines, and that was reversed. So believe it or not, people might do the right thing just out of annoyance. So flood the lines, flood the lines, flood the lines. Tweet at people until Michael Moore has tweeted it or done something.
Michael Moore.
At MM Flint. At MM Flint. Michael, when are you gonna rant about this? When are you gonna speak up about this? This is the biggest government cover-up in the 21st century. By the way, Matt Taibbi and Katie Halper, who we just went on with, the headline of the video, the biggest government cover-up of the century. That's what they headlined it. So please, if you can, we're not asking you to, you could do it from the comfy confines of your home. If you have a pool, please. Yes, I do want people to tweet at Michael Moore, at MM Flint. Very happy, very much appreciate that he had me on his podcast in January. This story is bigger than the one in January, frankly. This is more multi-layered. You're talking destruction of evidence, tampering with evidence, obstruction of justice, the governor of the state basically hiding things from prosecutors. So
tag your favorite, in addition to Michael Moore and your local outlets and Michigan outlets, tag your favorite progressive hosts, your favorite podcasters, your favorite YouTube hosts, your favorite, influencers, anyone that you can think of who can help get this story out, tag them. We would like to go on TrueAnon. We would like to go on Chapo Trap House. We would like to go on anyone with a platform. Tag them, talk to them, anyone you can think of. Tell them about it in
you know what?
Any way, social media, email, whatever.
You know what? The time for diplomacy is over. So I am right now going to the Detroit Free Press's website. I'm finding the number. Hold on. Farewell. I think to see you gone.
Have you ever seen The Sound of Music, Jordan, or you just sing that?
Oh, that's The Sound of Music? No.
Yeah. So long, farewell. Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. I used to dance to that in my dance club.
So they have contact us, just one number. So, it's a 1-800 number, so that means you're not getting anyone.
I could probably find the real number if I dig hard enough.
We're going to find the number and we're going to tweet it. I'm done with diplomacy. So we're going to tweet at both of our Twitters, at Jordan Sheridan, at Jen Elizabeth J, Detroit Free Press number, Detroit News, Flint Journal, and as many as we could fit in one tweet. So we'll give you the numbers. Please make it happen. Thank you for watching. Tune in tomorrow. Jen will be live sometime around 11 a.m. Eastern. That's 8 a.m. Pacific from DC's March for Medicare for All. And I will be.
Yeah. No, I did ballet, tap, and jazz, not any other kinds of dance. Thank you, Lee. Yeah.
So that's all we got. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.